Oh, okay. Is there any way I can see the chat? Is there a chat? I can hear you, yeah.
There we go. Okay, can you hear? Okay, now they should be able to hear me. Wouldn't be a Liquored Up Live if there wasn't some kind of fucking weird technical snafu. So yeah, this is Zoo here with Liquored Up Live, and we've got a very special guest on coming all the way from overseas here. Um,
Hello.
so I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell you a little bit about where you can find him, and we'll go from there. But Sam, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Tell them who you are, tell them what you're playing, and tell them what the fuck you're drinking, if anything.
So I'll start with what I'm drinking. I've only got a glass of Coke here. That's all I've
Coke
got.
works fine. Here's the thing:
And
I've got a little bit of Coke and I've got a little bit of bourbon in it, Diet Pepsi and bourbon. And
it's a bit late for me. I've got work tomorrow, so
a little late for you and a little early for me to start super. It is not indeed 5 o'clock here yet. So we're gonna do a little drinking, but not as normal, not what I typically do. But that
yeah,
doesn't
it's
mean
basically daytime.
that doesn't mean that we won't be able to lubricate it enough to have a good discussion. So gotcha. And so you've been on YouTube for a little bit. How long you been on YouTube, and what kind of channel? Tell them where they can find you and what your channel's all about.
So my name is my YouTube channel is known as Switchboard. I've been on YouTube for just under 2 years now. So I've been that's tell a lie actually. No, I've been kind of revolving on YouTube a little bit with. I once had a channel what was used to be called Spam Fritters, and then I hated that because it's actually the name of a treat that you'd call it in the UK, I guess,
Okay.
known as a spam fritter. But I got rid of that, and then eventually came to be known as an enthusiast.
Okay.
And then eventually I got rid of that, and now I am actually known as Switchboard on YouTube. But I've been Switchboard for about a year now.
Okay. So we got Switchboard
So
and enthusiast. I'm detecting a pattern here. Somebody who may like Nintendo a little bit, right?
yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm ultimately basically a Nintendo YouTuber. I like to branch out. I like to go to other like consoles as well. I'm not directly. I don't class myself as like just Nintendo because I'd like to talk about other consoles as well. Talk about the other games on consoles. I grew up mostly with Nintendo, but I've had a PlayStation in the past. I've had an Xbox in the past. So, but yeah, I mean, my channel itself is basically a Nintendo channel. Like I say, my name is Switchboard. It's in the name, really. Switch, Nintendo Switch. So. Yeah, that's cool. It's a play on the word of switchboard. Obviously, like everyone knows. Well, if you don't know what a switchboard is, it used to be. It's what they used to use to transfer you on phone calls. As silly as that
Now you're
sounds.
talking stuff even older than I am. So I tell you, you're probably educating this chat.
Yeah, so like it used to be. I don't know when they used to use them. I mean, I'm guessing it was like old school history stuff. But yeah, like obviously that's the thing, and then I'm a big media guy as well, so I learned a lot. I went to university to do media and stuff like that, and learned a lot about switching board there as well. So using different channels on when you use cameras and stuff like that. So I've just always kind of been based around the whole idea of switchboards. So there we go. That's my channel, I guess. But yeah, I'm a Nintendo YouTuber. If you want to check out my channel, check it out. I make content. I do collection videos. So a lot of my videos are actually based around me talking about my collection, which is ever growing. So yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think at this point I've done enough things where most folks know who I am. I'm Zoo. I'm just a random internet ghost that likes talking about Nintendo. Says I'm a Nintendo YouTuber, but everything I stream is PC gaming because I'm too fucking stupid to figure out how to get Nintendo Switch streamed onto a console reliably. But yeah, other than that, yeah, not too much. I like that you kind of come at this from the more technical aspect of media. That's interesting to me. So, what was it? Is that something you've long been interested in, or is that is that an interest you picked up over time in terms of the technical aspect of the media and the
It's weird.
broadcasting game?
It's weird because I mean, I started off, when I was at college. We don't call it high school over here in the UK. We call it college. So when I was at that age, like just hitting 18, I got into photography like a lot. Like I really, really love photography. Like it's one of my hobbies. So outside of doing all this stuff, I'm really into photography. So yeah, it kind of stemmed from that really. I went from being a photographer and doing that as like my own kind of thing, and then eventually doing that professionally, and then yeah, then it turned into making videos, making videography and stuff like that. So videoing people's weddings and all that kind of stuff, like just little like event stuff like that. And then yeah, I just decided that because we had obviously the pandemic and stuff, I needed something to do. I turned that into something on basically content creation. So
Right.
that was my pathway, I suppose, into this. Was it all started from photography and then obviously videography and then into content creation. So I have been kind of on and off with it. At first, I started off with streaming. I'd started doing streaming on Twitch, but to be honest, like it's difficult to stream on Twitch because you need to be a somebody. Do you know what I mean to even get anywhere on there? Because it's so convoluted with people and like unless you're the greatest person, the funniest person on the planet, you're not going to get anywhere on a platform like that.
Or if you have a
So,
giant set of titties. Let's be honest. It
but yeah,
helps. It helps.
I mean, you do go on the front page on Twitch, and there was a lot of people like that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? Like you have to at least have something. It's like, what is it? Putting your finger in a lot of pockets at once, or something like that.
Basically, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Twitch is
yeah,
Twitch is
and
a
so I
place you
thought,
go to grow your quote unquote brand. It's not a place you go to make your brand.
that's right. Yeah, and so yeah, that's kind of where I went with it. Really, was I decided to, after doing that, like with not really much success, I decided to go onto YouTube and make content. And to be honest, like I actually prefer doing content creation. I prefer making videos. It's just more fun. I can do it in my own time. I don't have to have a schedule unless I'm uploading. Like that's the only schedule I try to stick to. But with Twitch, obviously, it's different. Like you have to be on there basically every day if you want to stay relevant. So
Well, right, and again, YouTube is kind of the same thing. That's one of the common things we talk about on here is like the misconception of what YouTube actually is, right? So a lot of people see
yeah,
YouTube as like, hey, it's me and my viewers. Basically, it's a relationship between me and my viewers. No, wrong, wrong. It's not what YouTube is. YouTube is you and your viewers, and there's also a gigantic algorithmic middleman that determines who your viewers are, who
yep,
you're shown to, if you're shown at all, if so, what areas you're shown to. And so we've all kind of accepted this giant algorithmic middleman, in the way in between us and our viewers. I feel like not anything we can do about it, but I just like to make that distinction because I feel like it's an important one. And I feel like a lot of people who come into YouTube,
absolutely.
if they don't understand this, it's going to get kind of nasty real quick for them.
No,
Yeah,
no, absolutely. I agree. And I mean, for me, like even being on YouTube, like it's not about views for me. Like it's not about. I don't upload on YouTube to make like viewers. I don't care so much about how many people view my content. Obviously, it's nice when people do view your content. My idea of being on YouTube is I want to build a community of people rather than instead of
yeah,
having just random people drop in, watch one video, then never see me again. Do you know what I mean? My goal is to build a community of people who are like minded. So, for example, like people like yourself, you're a Nintendo YouTuber. I've networked with you, and this is kind of the whole idea of like what I want to do. I want to communicate and build something that isn't really something that is just something you'll see on the homepage once and then you'll never care about again. I want people to come back to my content. I want people to know that this is the place for that kind of people who are into Nintendo and stuff like that, or any kind of gaming. It's a safe place for people like that. So yeah, so
I've been
that's
reading
kind of how I see it.
I've been reading an interesting book lately. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's well, not a book, but it's an essay. It's an academic essay, and it's about called "New Maladies of the Soul." Right, and the
Mm,
whole thing is all
cool.
about how, with the advancements of technology, so there's never any problem solving. So people who use the term problem solving, it's a misnomer. You never really solve a problem. What you do is you solve for a particular set of variables, and that ultimately opens up more variables that then have to be solved for. And it's an infinite loop ad infinitum. Nothing ever gets solved. Um, basically we keep stopgapping, opening up new opportunities for problems, and then stopgapping those problems, right? And so, with the
Right.
advancement of modern technology and modern tech and social media, that has given us, we are both more interconnected and more alone than any of us have ever been at the same time.
Yep.
It's led to a lot of interesting works of art. Like, I don't know if you watch too much anime, but there's an anime called Serial Experiments Lane that talks a little bit about this. Also, animes like Perfect Blue, or
Yeah.
that are just absolutely terrifying about like parasocial relationships, things of that nature. But
Oh yeah. Yeah. Of
yeah,
course.
building a community, I think, is a noble goal, especially considering how again interconnected yet scattered we all are. So yeah, that's kind of the same angle I come at it from. I put my videos out. If people watch them, cool. If they don't fucking watch them, who gives a shit, But if they want to stay and they think I'm cool and they want to interact with the facsimile of a person that I built, I'm happy to do that. I try to be as honest to my real self as possible. But there's also that added layer of like, how do we even know? Like, yeah, I mean, I'm being me. I'm not being fake, but you're only seeing the me that I let you see. And there's also that interesting aspect to it, too, I feel like.
Yeah.
What you're
Yeah.
actually seeing, eye
Oh yeah.
patchwork
That's
makes
it,
the
isn't it?
point. Yeah, it's a
You,
curated collection of the best of me, essentially.
yeah. I suppose that's true. Like you know, you're picking and choosing, aren't you? Really, who you are online, and
But
I
so is
think as well,
everyone
like
else. That's the thing.
yeah, I suppose that's kind of it, isn't it? I mean, even when you get comments on like your channel, like when you're talking back to them, as you've got to think of something on the spot, haven't you? Like a reply, and what do you say half the time? It's like, do I say something that makes me sound like a smartass, or do I sound like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about? Or it's got, especially with a channel like mine, when it comes to people commenting on my videos, where like they tell me about games I've never heard of, and that then leads me on to looking at these games. But I don't class myself as like someone who's you know knows everything about Nintendo. I'm just as clueless as most people are. I have only my experiences,
Yes.
and I can only talk about my experiences. So when it comes to that, like you have to be honest, and like you say, when you're picking and choosing who you are, I don't want to make out that I know everything about Nintendo. And how do you do that when all your viewers kind of when they come to your channel, they expect you to know everything about Nintendo? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
It's
and,
it's
and and over time, I feel like people can ferret out fakers.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I feel
I had
like
someone
over.
call me out the other day. Actually, I had someone message on
Okay.
my channel. I had someone say to me, "Oh, you're not a real Nintendo collector." I was like, "Well, I don't say I am."
First of all, define Nintendo collector. I feel like
Exactly right.
I feel like that's kind of a dog in the head theory. And what I mean by that is if I were to ask you to picture a dog, and I was to picture a dog, and Brooke or Cold Nights or Keithius were to picture a dog, every single fucking goddamn one of us would picture an entirely different dog. Every single one of us. And so I feel like when you define terms like Nintendo collector, okay, what do you mean? Collects all Nintendo games? Just Switch games? If it's just Switch games, I'm not much of a Nintendo collector at all because I don't collect for all Nintendo systems. There's Nintendo systems I
Exactly
fucking
right.
hate.
I mean, I'm primarily a Switch collector at the moment.
Me
Like
too.
I
Me
used
too.
to collect for the 3DS. But
Yeah, Super Nintendo, NES, and Wii and Switch are kind of
the
my
reason I
collecting
started
systems.
collecting, the reason I started collecting for the 3DS was because I missed a gap. Like when I was at university and the last years of my college, I didn't play games much, and I went through a couple of years where I didn't really care about gaming much. Um, and yeah, I think I was focused on other things, to be honest. And so I kind of had this whole gap of time where I was like, I don't know anything about the games that are on the 3DS or the Nintendo Wii U, because I did have a Nintendo Wii U. I was like one of 13 people that actually had that console. And yeah, I mean, I had some games for it, but I never really like played it much or cared. So I basically went back to collect for the 3DS so that I could fill the void and actually figure out what was going on with that era. But then it wasn't really until the Nintendo Switch I actually decided that I was going to get back into gaming because the Nintendo Switch, it's a great console. It's genuinely one of the greatest consoles of all time. And
we're definitely going to
I
talk
actually,
about that. I agree. For many reasons. In fact, it might be my favorite of all time at this
yeah,
point.
I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite console, but I think it's definitely, that's weird saying that considering my channel is based around Switch content.
No,
But,
I wouldn't consider it weird at all. I mean, people are
but,
full of surprises. Like just
I mean,
because
my first console, my first Nintendo console was the N64, so I'm gonna be biased to that console because that's like literally my childhood.
right.
So
Yeah, well, nostalgia in childhood. Like anybody who discounts the power of nostalgia in childhood is full of shit. Like
yeah, and
100%.
that's why I was excited for Nintendo Switch Online because obviously they brought N64 back and they've like basically put the best games available. And I think there's really many more N64 games,
Well,
probably like Diddy Kong Racing or something.
that's part of what I
DK,
feel like Nintendo Switch does really well. Not just with the Nintendo Switch
yeah,
Online, but like so keep in mind I come at this from kind of a similar angle. I didn't I skipped the Wii U generation. I also skipped most of the AAA games on the Wii generation because I didn't play those consoles for the most part. And I skipped the GameCube and 64 DVD player generation. So a lot
the
of what
64 DD. I
yeah.
don't think we actually got that over here.
Um
Did we get the? I don't know if the UK got the DD.
oh, when I say DVD player, I mean the PlayStation 2. Yeah,
Oh, so
I
I see.
yeah, no, you're fine. I call that the DVD player. But
No, it's because obviously they had the N64 DD as well, didn't they? Which was the
that's true. I think that was just a prototype over in Japan, actually. But
did they was it a prototype? Was it?
I think so. But
I've
somebody
seen
fact
people with
check
it.
that. I'd be curious to see that. What
I've seen people with it. Or have.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it got some play in Japan. I never saw one for sale in the States. So if it did, I'm thinking that was a Japan
I'd say
exclusive, maybe.
yeah, probably could have been. But then
Cool.
obviously, disk drives didn't really get popular until the PS2, I suppose. So.
Right. That's kind of whenever all that went that direction. But so basically, yeah. So when we talk about curation of games throughout all of time, look at the Switch's library. Not just curating the best of its old games, but curating the best of the Switch. To me, even physically, what's available physically, you've got pretty much the entire fucking Sega Genesis library of note. You've got it. You've got
it's
it. It's all there. It's just about all there
it's
physically too,
genuinely
not just online.
it's
Physically.
genuinely one of the best emulators there is for
Yeah,
any like.
you've got you've got almost
Yeah,
a large section of Sony's library, like the that's not
yeah,
first party, like the
Metal Gear
what's
Solid.
what of Sony. Yeah, like is on here. You've got you've got all the AAA games curated from across time, the ones that really matter, with few exceptions. And I think we'll get into those exceptions. I feel like there's still some games we're not going to get that really should be getting, and there's reasons why. But in general, the Switch just seems to get everything it needs. It's got killer first party original software that's Switch exclusive. It's got great games from its past, and it's even got a lot of the great classic games, a lot of arcade collections. Fucking Crystallis from the NES era is available physically on a cartridge.
Yeah, so,
Like I think
yeah,
through the SNK collection. Like it's like holy shit, guys. Like there is
yeah,
just
no,
so
definitely.
much available. Like you've got all the different Konami
There's even
collections.
games like what Knights of the Old Republic and stuff like that. Like
Knights of the
what?
Old Republic 1 and 2. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
one and two. Yeah,
yeah.
what?
Like so
Yeah,
basically for me it's an opportunity not just to play all the new cool Switch games that are on the system, the first party stuff, but it's an opportunity for me to explore gaming libraries I never got to. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, there's been loads of games that I've never played and played for the first time on Switch. Um, I went back to play some of the Final Fantasies that I missed. So
uh-huh.
yeah, that was
Yep.
cool.
Yeah,
Even some of like the remastered people as well.
I've got a game
I'm
of
currently
Final
playing
Fantasy
through.
7 going right now. I need to get back to it, but I left it off right
Is
after
that
the
the
Junon.
remake? Is that the remake or the original you're playing?
Original, yeah, this is on the Switch. So yeah, it's the original
Original,
Final Fantasy
the
VII.
better.
Yeah, I think I just boarded the vote and left June on, basically. Is where I'm at in that. I'm gonna get back into it. It's good. It's good. Um, again, keep in mind my bias for Final Fantasy. One of my first real Final Fantasy game was Final Fantasy 4 and 6.
Oh man, I see. No,
Those
right.
are
My first Final Fantasy was 7, so
7.
I was that
Seven's
age when it came.
seven's good. Seven's good, but 6 is. And I think 7 might
I've
be
never
better.
played 6.
I think I think 7. I strongly recommend 6, and it's available on
See,
the classics, the Final Fantasy
I
7
would say
pixel remasters.
for me, 7, 8, and 9, maybe 10. That peak. That's peak Final Fantasy.
Sure, I would encourage
That's
you.
just me.
I would strongly encourage you to try 6.
Yeah,
6
I've
is
not played 6, but
6 is
I don't know.
absolutely.
I think that's just down to my generation. That like I grew up with that era, so
Right. But yeah, 6 is just masterful. 6 is um oh man. Now 6 does have
yeah,
problems, but it shares a lot of problems with the overall series. So for example, Final Fantasy has all these status effects and never gives you a real reason to use them outside of 5. Like you can just muscle your way through all those games, like just muscle and heal your way through all of them. Um, so there are some issues I have with the Final Fantasy games I've played overall in terms of balancing and just ease of. So many of those are so fucking easy. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
and before anybody says, "Well, did you play the super bosses?" I don't count those. Like I'm talking about a nice scaled difficulty from
Yeah,
beginning to end.
it probably isn't as strange as the junction system in the Final Fantasy 8.
Yeah,
If anyone knows about it,
Crimson Rosso is playing through those now, and he talks about the junction system being
it's one of the
an
most
interesting thing. Yeah.
one of the most ridiculous mechanics in a game ever. Genuinely broke that game. Like if you spent enough time at the start of the game to just go and get the any magic, like you can literally break that game
I've
ridiculously. Like
seen
it's
some of the
so
ridiculous damage
yeah.
pylons and stuff, and yeah, I've seen it. And then also the fact that, like, hey, we're going to give you magic spells, but don't use your magic spells because you'll weaken your junctions. Like, there's that.
And they tried to didn't they try to fix it by making it so that the monsters leveled up with you as well, something like that.
Yeah, which I fucking hate when they do that. I can't.
That's
If you're going to give me a big world, now I get that Final Fantasy VIII is pretty much on rails. It's a JRPG. But like that's one of the things that infuriated me. I love Morrowind. It's probably my favorite game ever. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
cool. Yeah.
And then when you go to Oblivion and Skyrim, everything fucking levels up with you. So everything is just piss easy the entire time until you get to like level 40 when you just get like fucking disarm shouted into oblivion by fucking zombies. Like that's literally how that game goes. Whereas in Morrowind, like here's your map and you're level 1. And if you go to this particular cave, well, sorry for you, there's a level 28 enemy in there. Now, Morrowind has an engine that's good enough where you can still beat that guy.
I'm playing through Xenoblade Chronicles at the moment, the first one, definitive edition.
Yeah, same thing.
The game is like that actually. You know, it's good because literally in the first area you come across like level 90 enemies. It's crazy.
Now here's my problem. Now here's my problem with Xenoblade with that. I love the fact that there's level 90 enemies just marching around. I love that. But you got to give me an opportunity to be able to use my gaming smarts to think of a way to beat them. And in terms of
it's very
if you are 2 levels over, you will destroy them. And if you are 2 or 3 levels down, you can't even hit them. Can't even hit them.
That's kind of the game. It's whoever has the higher number is the winner. Is kind of where it results to.
Well, not only that, but
like the game,
I can't even hit them if I'm 10 levels lower. Can't even hit the monster.
It just comes up missed.
Yep. So it's like, those games need some balancing. Those games now, Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition, which I've played so far, did fix that by allowing you to control your level ups. But even with that, I still had to grind about 10 levels at the very end of that game in order to complete it. Yeah, I got there. I was about 10 levels short of being able to actually
It's
enjoy
a
the game.
it's a game. It's a good game. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really, really solid game.
Oh, me too.
My only gripe with it at the moment is the grinding. Like you can play so much, and then it just gets to a point where the game becomes impossible.
Mhm.
I've noticed it a few times, and you kind of have to go back and like beat the quests and the side quests and
The
stuff. And
story, and I keep in mind, I was doing side quests diligently. I still had to grind at the
yeah,
very end, but the story's worth it. The story on those games is worth it.
oh no, the story's brilliant. I'm actually loving the story. It's
Yes,
so good. Like the way it's
it's
written.
worth the grind. It is. I will tell anybody
Yeah,
here,
definitely.
absolutely worth the grind
No,
you'll have at the
it's
end.
definitely worth it. No, I think I'm good. I'm a good 30 hours in, and the
If
game's long. It's a very long game,
and
but
their games full of big ideas. Like if you guys know shit, guys, I'm not. Again, this is not a comparison. Please understand, this isn't a comparison. But if you like stories like The Count of Monte Cristo, or you like stories like Frankenstein, or you like novels of big ideas, you're gonna feel right at home with Xenoblade series. Um,
definitely.
it's again not a comparison. I'm not comparing Xenoblade to those masterworks. I'm not.
Some of like the greatest literature works
Yes,
of all time.
I'm not. I'm just saying if you like those stories, you'll have fun here.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right,
Yeah.
let's take a look. Chat's kind of built up a little bit on us, so as you
I can't see the chat file. There's no way for me to see the chat.
I'm gonna put the comments here on the page, and I read all the comments anyway. So
Me read all
yeah,
YouTube.
some people will open up a window, will open up like the actual thing in the YouTube app, and that allows you to see the comments. I know some people
Yeah,
have
it's because
done,
I'm on.
but yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Keith SLG says you're on. And then, so Keith SLG drew first blood in this chat. Brooke Barnes, right, not too far behind. Keithius says, "Hi, Zoo. What's up? Not too much. Been a pretty good weekend. Had my nephew's 6-year-old birthday party yesterday. That was fun. And other than that, just relaxing, playing some Cyberpunk 2077 and watching the show From, which, guys, if you haven't seen From yet and you like horror at all, holy shit, man. I'm gonna give the premise like this: It's Lost. Imagine the show Lost, except it's a horror show. That's From. Like same level of production values. It's good. It's really good. Somehow stuck on fucking MGM Plus, an app that nobody has. Um, Literally no one has that app, but check it out. Definitely check it out. So then Cold Night says, "Yo, afternoon, gentlemen. Jay from Cold Nights is in here." Uh, by the way, Cold Nights Gaming, if you haven't subscribed to this guy, he's on a push to get to 1,000. Go do it right now. I command you. I order you
Oh yeah, definitely.
to go subscribe to Jay
Check out
right now.
Contact.
Like,
He actually appeared in one of my videos recently as well.
yeah, leave this
He
show.
made a really good answer.
If
Yeah.
you leave this show, if you have to, and go subscribe to Jay right now. In fact, don't
Oh,
come back
also
till you did.
shout out to the monster, by the way. I think is he here?
Yeah, the monster recommended you actually. Yeah, monster's the guy that
Yeah,
rated you.
that's why I'm saying that because he shouted me out. So yeah, thank you for that, dude.
Yeah, no, Monster. Yeah, Monster had a hell of an appearance on here. Yeah, he came first appearance and came hairs away from capping that record. So yeah, kudos to him. But yeah, Jay overall great guy, man, great guy. And then he's wished everybody Keith, Brooke, afternoon. Brooke Barnes says, "I had my first dream in a while the other night. I don't know if I am going to have another. The dream was just me and my dad talking with each other. Oh my gosh, what a fabulous experience that would be. Oh my goodness.
That would be great.
I Do you remember much of the convo? And if so, I hope it was a really good one. Those are the kind of dreams that'll stay with you forever, bro. Again, I dream more than you. We've talked a little bit about this. I keep a dream journal, actually. Very therapeutic. And sometimes the thing is you'll forget your dreams. Now, that dream, I don't think you'll forget. But more banal, more common dreams, you'll forget literally a few moments later. Like they're fleeting. And so if you have a little diary on your desk, sometimes when you dream, you can keep track of them. And it's
I
amazing some of the
never
insights you
never
can get from
dream.
them. For sure. But I hope you had a good chat. I think she continues that comment below. Yeah, she says, "I don't remember what we were talking about." Okay. So it answers my question. But I have my suspicions about what it is, but I really hope I have the dream again so I can figure things out. So dreams often are like history. They don't necessarily repeat a lot, but they do rhyme. So I think you'll probably have a similar dream, and that'll allow you to kind of elucidate things and will make things a little more clear. I've had dreams that are so similar, it's not the exact same dream, but they do rhyme with the other dreams they've had. So the monster says, "Yo, I'm at work at the moment, but 100% watching this later. Let's fucking go." What's going on, Monster? Again, still thinking about that appearance we had, man. We did good. We did good that night. That was a fun talk. And then the Monster says, also, hi, folks in the chat. Cold Knight's also saying, yo. Monster says, what up, Jay? Rush Dog's in the house. He says, hey, Jay. Hi, everyone. And then Cold Knights is like, thanks, brother. So, yeah, got a kind of a full house here today. So, now, you talk about being a Switch channel, and I've seen some of your collecting content and some of your list content. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. How many Switch games do you have total? Because I know you just released the total collection. Haven't had an opportunity to watch that one yet, but kind of spoil it for me. How many games we at total?
Oh gosh, man. I mean, I've only been collecting since January, so.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of a newer thing as far as that goes.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a few games before that. I mean, obviously, I've had my Switch for 7 years nearly. So
yeah,
God, I think I'm roughly at the 60 games.
60.
Probably that's
Not
a
too
lot
bad.
compared
Not
to
too bad for only collecting since January.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to buy like at least one game a month. That's kind of my goal. But,
okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
sometimes I end up
I'll
being-
tell you what sucks about Switch collecting is there's so many games that are like limited print that it's going to make
Yeah.
truly collecting for this system. Well, there's two
Well,
things at play. There's the limited print, and then there's the fact that there's like a million different versions of the carts themselves that I feel like are going to make the
I mean,
Switch a
the thing is, like,
monster to collect.
my collection is mostly first party games. I mean, they're the games that I want. Ideally, I mean, the first party games are usually the games you want, right? That's what you pay for, right? That's what you pay a Switch for. But,
I mean, yeah, I would agree. I think that's most people that are normal. Unfortunately,
it's like it's the exclusives, isn't it?
Right. I had the
But
idea, the brilliant idea that since I was playing catch up with like 5 generations of video games, I figured I would just buy the games that I might anticipate playing, and I'm at almost 500 games now, physically.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a massive collection compared to me, so that's cool. And like, you obviously have probably like more indie games and stuff. I'm guessing, like probably like lesser known titles.
Yeah, like I would probably guess that maybe, I would say maybe a third at least are indie games, if not more.
See, that's my thing now. My goal is to add indie games to my collection because I don't have indie games. I've got like probably 2 in my collection.
I can give you some recs if you want.
Well, yeah, go for it. I mean, fire away.
So
but like,
we'll start with the ones that are widely available and easy. So Amori, if you like JRPGs, and Hollow Knight if you like Metroidvania. Tops.
Hollow Knight is on my list to get. Yeah.
Yeah, Celeste
I'm gonna
is the best
get like,
platformer on the system. Period. It just is, and
yeah.
it just got a broad release.
My only issue with some indie games, like when it comes to collecting, is they are released on other platforms as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, for me personally as a collector, that devalues the product. Do you know what I mean? Like it's because like, oh, I could just play this game on my PlayStation, or I could play it on Xbox. Probably better because it's probably better, quality. But then at the same time, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, it's nice to have it on Switch because then you get the handhelds.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so again, that I think that understates the Switch's value proposition, which is that it might not be the best running game, but yeah, these games are all available on the go. And
Well, yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why I bought. It's one of the reasons why I bought Metal Gear Solid, the collection, because even though I have it already on, I think, PlayStation 3, and I've got the originals, it was nice to have the capability to play it on Switch, even though it is an internet download game only. Like you have to have, which is really annoying, by the way.
I
know that this is the future, right? This is the future of gaming. It's digital, right? Everyone knows that digital is going to be
my future. It's not my future,
This is the thing,
and that's
man.
okay. That's
This is
okay.
why collecting at the moment is so essential, because once that moment comes and the game companies announce that they are no longer doing physical,
Bye
it's going
bye.
to be a mad dash for people to buy games physically.
Yep, fare
So,
thee well. But the good neuse is, I will have over 500 games at that point to last me the rest of my life. So,
well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, I
oh
used to
yeah,
collect
no, I
DVDs,
agree. We're at the
and
fucking Alamo, man. Like, I absolutely agree.
I mean, I used to collect DVDs and stuff like that, and I'm as a media man, like I love my media. I want to consume every single bit of media possible. That's my aim of goal in life.
Yeah, and there's some good
Yeah,
stuff. There's some really good stuff, not just with video games,
exactly
but
right. And to say that I have things physically, it's awesome, because when, say, for example, Netflix take a film off Netflix and
uh-huh.
you've got it physically, it's the best. You can say you've got it, and you'll never have it taken away from you. So
Yeah, they literally,
the only
in
thing I
order
will say,
to, game companies would have to literally kick your door down to take your
exactly
completed
right,
box copy
exactly.
of, and they're not going to do that. So it's
And
basically a
the only
way to
thing I will say,
hedge.
though, is physical is a risk, because you'll lose something if it's physical. Like, eventually something will degrade. I think they don't need
Ultimately, but a Switch card
isn't
is
there.
like the bit rot rate is like 30 years. So at that point,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
be
like
in,
it's
yeah.
going to be a long time, but
At that point, I'll be in my
30 years.
twilight years and I'll be world traveling anyway. So who
Yeah,
gives a fuck?
yeah, I'll be a completely different person by then.
Yeah.
So
Oh, literally, yeah. Not just like in your mind, but physiologically. Every 7 years, I was
exactly,
talking to somebody about this. Like, literally, every cell in your body is replaced. There is nothing of the old you. It's ship of Theseus, like for real.
exactly,
Like the
exactly.
entire you is gone, and it's a new you completely every 7 years at least. So,
Yep,
yeah. So again, these moments are fleeting, and you gotta take it where you can. You gotta, and that's why I was trying to say earlier, like in the Discord, we were talking about like game. Somebody had posted like games that we quit, and I think it was Crimson Rosso was like, "Here's the games that I've quit," and it's like, hey, don't feel bad about that, man. Life is too short to play games that you're not enjoying. Like if you're not
exactly
enjoying the
right. And
game,
and this
move
is the
on to a
thing
game
is,
you may.
it's nice to have it in the collection still. I mean, I I'm going to say a really controversial take here, and I know a lot of people will kill me for saying this,
Try me.
but I didn't enjoy the Thousand Year Door.
Okay. Well, again, I
and,
haven't put too
and
much time into it. I've enjoyed what I have put into it, but can
I
can you
played.
elaborate a little bit on that? What is it about the Thousand Year Door you're not enjoying?
It's just the pacing of the game. The pacing of the game is just mind numbing. It's so slow,
Gotcha.
but
Too
it
much
is what it
talking.
is. I
Too
understand.
much yakking.
I understand. It's an iconic game. It's an iconic Nintendo game.
No, you're fine.
It's Mario, isn't it? And I love Mario. Like, Mario is my literally probably like my second favorite game franchise.
It's my first, so yeah.
But like, I mean, I don't know. I'd never played it beforehand either. I'd never played like the GameCube version. Like, the first time I'd ever played the Thousand Year Door was on Switch,
Hmm.
and I just generally don't get the hype of it. Like, I was playing through it, and I was just like, this isn't as fun as people make it out to be. I don't know what it is about it. I'm just, I don't know. Maybe there's something I missed about it, but to me, it's a game that I see the creativeness of it, and I think it's creatively it's great. Like, obviously the fighting system and stuff is really cool. My issue is it's just the mind numbing pacing of the game. It's just too slow for me. But that is what it is. I've got a lot going on in my life outside of gaming, and I want to play games that are going to make me
Sure.
want to have fun, want to There's a lot of stuff going on that is difficult and just can be quite stressful at times. I'm a dad of 10 months.
Right.
And that's
Right.
it's tough.
Oh, that's a
So
time
it's like,
sink.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I love being a dad. Absolutely, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But it's sometimes you're like, I just want to break and just want to play something that's
Sure.
entertaining. And I get the comedy of Thousand Year Door. I think the comedy's there. I just can't get past the pacing for
Well,
me.
there's a
Maybe I
game
need to
I
play it
feel
again.
like that was like that. It's a game called Dust and Elysium Tale, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
it's a Metroidvania. And here's the thing: the game is
yeah,
excellent. The story is good. The combat is good. The world is really, really beautiful and hand painted and really pretty and really interesting to explore. The lore is deep. But here's the thing. They just won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, these games like
The
that do that.
characters
Like,
just won't shut the fuck
oh,
up.
I keep going back to Metal Gear Solid, but Metal Gear Solid 4. Have you ever played through that?
No.
No, dude.
I
The,
couldn't
the
get past the
final the
hour
final
load
cutscene
time
of
with
that
him
game,
smoking.
the final cutscene of Metal Gear Solid 4, when you beat the game, is I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes.
Well,
It's
Kojima has
basically a movie.
always, yeah, Kojima's always had
Yeah,
excess, like
it's
always.
basically a movie.
Well, okay, that's what he wants to do.
But
Like the guy wants to make
yeah, well,
movies.
yeah, the dude wants. Didn't he want to be a movie director before he became a game developer? Like, something like.
Yeah. He's again, he's a guy that ended up. And again, I'm not going to speculate on the reasons for that, but he's a guy that wanted to do one thing, it seems like, and ended up in a different thing. And
Yeah,
kudos,
but I
he's
mean,
been
he's done it very
extraordinarily
well.
successful. Um,
Yeah, he's done it very well. He's basically conquered life.
fun fact, and also interesting guy. So I can't hate on
Really, yeah,
Kojima that much at all because he's one of the few celebrities I actually follow. Just
yeah,
because
he's a
he's
great guy.
interesting and he's a reader.
And I actually quite enjoyed, surprisingly, and I know it's just pacing, but I actually quite enjoyed Death Stranding.
I haven't played it yet,
I know
but
a lot
it
of people.
looks interesting. That's the thing. Anything this guy makes, one of the games that I was looking at that my friend was playing was a game called Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Okay, and
Yeah, Peace Walker's good.
Peace Walker contains a codex, and so if you play that game, you can always tell by playing the games Kojima is playing what he's reading, what he's interfacing with, because you can learn everything you would ever want to fucking know about the Sandinistas and the revolution in Costa Rica. Everything you would ever need to know. It's there. It's
Yeah, man,
literally in the game. And the game is a history lesson.
Peace Walker is a hidden gem in my opinion. It's a
Yeah,
very underrated game,
yeah.
and most of the reasons that is because it was stuck on the PSP, and then
Or
it
just
went to
like
the PS3 event.
with Metal Gear Solid 4. Like
Yeah,
I
I
haven't played
mean,
the game yet, but I immediately pre-ordered the book that he was reading when he made that game, and that book
it's
was
weird because Peace Walker is kind of like, in a way, it is Metal Gear Solid 5. It is the true Metal Gear Solid 5,
mhm.
and then because it does feel like a main title, like it's basically a spin-off title. It's not really a main
Right.
title, I suppose, but it feels more like a main title than Metal Gear Solid 5 ever did, in my opinion.
Well, and Metal Gear
Weird.
Solid 5 has problems. I've heard all about them. Like
Oh man, I'm so disappointed in Metal Gear
yeah,
5. I love the gameplay. The Metal Gear 5's gameplay, incredible. It's one of the best like third-person action games ever. Like when
well,
it comes
the
to
one thing you can't say
controls and
about it,
exploration.
yeah, one thing you can't say about it is that it's not interesting, right?
Yeah,
There was there's
it's
a
still a good
book.
time. It's a game that's still a good time to play. It just doesn't live up to the Metal Gear Solid
Right,
standard for me.
exactly.
Like, the story in that game is horrible. It's so
Well, again, interesting premise, but poor execution. Kind of a bad villain that kind
yeah,
of fell on its face. The boss
bad
fights are
villain.
really anemic compared to the series. My understanding is.
Yeah, I mean, the Metal Gear Solid is a series that prides itself on description, right? And I feel like the boss fights in Metal Gear Solid 5 weren't there. They just weren't good.
Right. The most
Even the final boss wasn't good. Like the I forget the name of the Metal Gear philanthropist or something like that, or something. I can't remember. But
again,
yeah, even that fight
I
wasn't
haven't
good.
played it, but again, I'm not really interested in playing it. The most interesting thing that came out of Metal Gear Solid 5 to me was the book that he literally based some of the stories writing on, which is a book called Empires of the Word. It's the history of human
Okay,
language. And so basically,
yeah,
it's a book that basically explores the history of language from Nicholas Ostler is the author. And he kind of takes through how language develops and how language is utilized as a weapon, not only of imperialism sometimes, but also utilized as a psychological weapon as well. And I think that, and he gives examples throughout history of this. And from what I gather of the story of Metal Gear Solid 5, it's very clear that Kojima was very immersed in this book. Yeah, again, you can always tell what he's reading and interfacing with when you play his games. Like it's like a snapshot in
yeah.
time of what the guy was fucking reading. It's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a lot of creators and directors and stuff like are influenced, aren't they, by what they're doing at the time.
The good ones,
Um,
yeah, the
yeah,
good ones, because again, you can always tell people that
yeah,
I'm a big proponent of if you want to make interesting content, you must first become an interesting person. Nobody wants to read fucking your brain farts all day long, but if you go on a whaling trip, or you go world travel, or you go see the jungle, or you um build a company and sell it, things of action. If you're doing things that are interesting, and you are reading things that are interesting and watching things that are interesting, that will translate into any work you do, and your work
yeah,
will
definitely.
become
Like,
more interesting.
yeah, and that's the that's kind of like how being a content creator works in a way. Because when it comes to making content, like you're influenced by what other people are making. I find, and you always want if you want to be the best content creator, you've got to beat what the best content creator of your niche is doing, and that is kind of and that's advice to anyone who makes videos. Like for me, that's what I find it works, and is not necessarily copying other people, but you've got to take influence. You've got to have your own ideas and somehow translate it to something that the best people want to watch, or like the people who are interested in your niche. They want to come back. You want to make sure they come back. So making content that is influenced by people that you enjoy watching, or like stuff that that your audience enjoys watching. That's how you make content, and that's how being a creator. You're making something that's special to people. I find that works for me anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, again, we all take inspiration from. I would agree with that. We all take inspiration from the things that we're looking into.
and that's kind of what brings me back to the whole community thing. Like building community of Nintendo fans and gaming fans. We feed off each other, and that's the point, right? That's the point in networking and being friends with people. And obviously competition as well. There's nothing stopping me from saying this other person who makes videos like me is my competition, and but at the same time, it's like that person is also a friend and someone that I can maybe potentially collab with or something like that. And you just have to kind of think of it like, what is this you're making, and how does it influence other people, or how does it inspire? And I don't want to say I'm an influencer, because I'm definitely not an influencer, but I'm I'm someone who I feel like who has a platform at least. I mean, I'm
Sure.
happy with my progress on YouTube at the moment. So
Yeah, and again, we're all at different places and in different areas, but yeah, competition is the thing is competition is healthy, and competition can actually make you better and the people around you better. But the thing of it
absolutely, yeah,
is there it I want to kind of define what we mean by competition, because there's different definitions of that. So I'm in business. I'm in the business world, and oftentimes, sadly, our competition isn't so healthy, because basically what we're revolving everything around is like a very anemic view of game two competition, right? You know what that means? Basically, game two is looking at the rules in place and not really caring about the spirit of those rules. Game two is basically doing everything in your power to amass as many points as possible on that board. That's game two. So game two is basically just focusing entirely on the end output, basically. A
yeah,
lot of
absolutely.
it is a necessity in business, in particular American business, where you have a duty to shareholders. If you're a publicly traded company, in order to make as much money as possible. But
Yeah,
there's other aspects of game. There's also game one, and game one is very different from game two. Game one isn't necessarily looking at the output. Game one is looking at the input, right? And so that's not looking at the end goal. Game one is looking at how does it feel to play this game? How are the mechanics of the game? And I feel like that is where YouTube competition can be really useful. Now, sadly, because we have that algorithmic middleman, I feel like a lot of YouTubers are playing game two. And if you're playing game
yeah,
two, you're only going to have, because the first game one doesn't really matter to game two results. You're only going to have a cursory care about the things in game one, the people you meet along the way, the relationships you're making, the collaborations you can pull, the friendly competition that kind of drives you to be better and try to one up each other. None of that really matters. The only thing that matters is, how am I doing in this red ocean? Am I doing better than everyone around me? And by what percentage am I doing better? How many points do I have? And the
Yeah.
algorithm drives that, I feel like. So if we can stay away
That
from
is
game two
basically,
mechanics,
that is the YouTube algorithm in a nutshell, isn't it? It's,
it is.
who's making the content that's keeping people watching, who's getting the most views, who's uploading the most.
Well, anybody who's ever paid
It is what it
attention
is.
to their watch time, it's brutal, man.
Yeah, and also I think returning viewers as well counts. Like, when you see your analytics,
Yeah, it'll deflate you if you look at it. Now the trick, you know what the trick is, right?
it's the thing is, like, it's I don't feel like subscribers
The trick is
on
not
YouTube.
looking at it. Not looking at it. That's the trick.
Yeah.
I maybe look at my metrics maybe once a month, homie.
Yeah, for me, subscribers don't really necessarily matter. It's a bit of a vanity thing, isn't it, when it comes to subscribers, right? And like, it's almost like a bragging right if you
It's
have
EP.
like
Yeah,
so
it's
many
EP.
subscribers.
It's electronic penis. It's EP.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
look how big my EP is.
Exactly right. Yeah, I've got more subscribers than you, therefore I'm the bigger creator. No, that's not how it works. It's who's coming back to your content, who's actually watching your content. That's what counts, not your subscribers.
100%.
Like, yeah, I've got
Jay's
more
got
viewers
some
than
good stuff.
some.
We're gonna skip ahead here because Jay's got some good stuff here. So Jay says
Yeah,
it's never a competition. And again, that's another way to play, and I think we should talk about that too. Is fully cooperative play is also good.
Yep.
When you can. So it's never a competition. I want to lift my brothers and sisters up. My success comes second. It's burned me a few times, and some folks have definitely moved on from me when my support was no longer needed. But I'll never stop supporting and pushing all of my beloved folks, you two included. Buddy, you don't know how much we appreciate that, homie. You don't know how much we appreciate that.
Jay,
And again,
you're an awesome guy.
Game two is nasty. Game two is nasty, and I feel like what that first thing you described here, that is you basically being victimized by game two. Now, it doesn't mean that those people don't honor and respect what you've done for them and what you do for the community. But a lot of the people who would do something like that and burn you, they're not seeing game one at all. They are entirely in a strange, anemic variant of game two that we've sold ourselves on in this particular culture.
I think that's important as well to mention that, like, those kinds of people, if they have just used you and moved on, like, for views and stuff, but they're the kind of people who, they're using you at the end of the day. They aren't true people that want to be your friend. They're just people who have basically used you for, for their own personal gain. So yeah,
That's why I'm glad, and that's I got to tell you, that's part of why I'm glad I'm so small. Ain't nobody fucking using me for shit. Or there's no way I can.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're small. Like,
I can't give you anything. I can't give you anything. Please note that everybody who comes on my show is much larger than I
am. I don't consider myself to be a large YouTube channel. Like, I'm not large at all. I'm a small YouTuber. I've only got.
How many do you have?
I mean, I've just hit 1,300, so that's not a lot.
Yeah,
really.
1,300 is definitely that's a small YouTuber. Yeah, that's a small.
Yeah, I don't class myself as a big YouTuber at all. Like, I do this as a hobby, literally. I don't do it to. At the moment, I don't do this as a way to make money. Obviously, I am a YouTube partner, but I don't do it as a way to make, hundreds and hundreds of.
And that's not happening. And that's not happening at the 1,000 YouTuber level. That is not happening.
I do this purely because I love doing it, and that's literally my favorite. So.
And I actually think that's most people. I think it's everybody in this chat that are content creators, and I think that's most people in general that dip their toes into YouTube. And here's the thing. Here's the kind of the dirty secret. I actually believe that that's most content creators, even at the larger level when they started. But I think what ends up happening.
I mean, a lot large so a lot of
Started
large YouTubers, they got lucky. Simply got lucky.
100,
That's how they create.
and the honest ones will tell you that. Because and here's
Exactly, right?
here's how I fucking know they're lucky. And again, it's not that they're not talented at what they do. They absolutely are. But even with talent, you are in the reddest of red oceans. There, how many fucking middle-aged men talking about fucking video games are there on YouTube?
Exactly, right. And it's just another
Millions.
cog in the machine, right? Yeah, I mean, there's loads.
Millions of us. So,
And,
of those millions of people, only a few are going to get elevated by the algorithm. Now, again,
yep,
that's not to say that there's no talent involved, but most success in life, the honest people will tell you, the successfully honest people will tell you,
you've
it's a little
literally
above.
got to be at the right time. Like, it's
Yep,
literally how it works.
yes, it's luck, timing, and skill.
Yeah,
It's all of it. You got to be in
absolutely.
order to make those
Like
opportunities.
the other
Sometimes you got
week,
to be talented.
there was a YouTuber the other week that I saw. I watched one of their videos, and
Uh-huh.
they literally had must have had probably 200 subscribers. They released one video, and it went viral. One video went viral, went to 500,000 views, and now they've
Boom!
got 10,000 subscribers. It's
I
crazy.
just witnessed this. And I need to share
Literally.
this. I need to share this in my chat. I just witnessed this for myself. There's a channel called the Elephant Graveyard. Okay. And they just put out a video that went mondo viral. This was like a channel with 15,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And they put a video out, it was Burn the Boats was like a funeral for Joe Rogan's comedy career was the name of the video. Right. And I haven't seen Burn the Boat special. I haven't seen it. But I've seen this video. And this video is fucking the most brutal takedown of someone the stature of Joe Rogan I've ever seen in my life. It is brutal.
Yeah.
And that's all it took. All it took was him basically just talking about, he's a comedian, talking about why he felt this special was not as good as some of Joe Rogan's earlier specials. And that video
that's the thing.
went
It's an idea that
2.9 million.
Exactly, and that's the thing. All it takes is one idea that no one else has talked about. And
Yeah, and he's over
that's the thing.
100K now.
If you get one idea that no one else has spoke about, and if you upload that at the right time, you will get lucky and you will get viral, and that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why, the other thing that people will tell you, so one of my backgrounds is in I'm a trained hypnotist. A lot of people don't know that about me. And one of the things we will tell you, and it's the way we view the world versus the way most people view the world, is that most people think that they are making rational decisions 90% of the time, and that it's only 10 or 5% of the time they make irrational decisions. No, that's not correct. We are actually creatures of horrific irrationality, that we are making irrational decisions 90% of the time and rationalizing those decisions after the fact.
Yeah,
that's what's
absolutely.
actually happening. I promise.
I can definitely say I agree with that, because I made a video the other week where I literally ripped into Legends of Tears of the Kingdom.
Good.
Believe it or not, I
needs it. Good.
Believe it or not, I wasn't the greatest fan of that game, and I made a video about it. Very, very irrational decision to do that, because that video actually got me a bit of hate, and people, it's a decision that I don't regret doing it, because it's a video that I put passion and time into.
And you're
But at
right.
the same
Let me tell
time,
you, you're fucking right, Sam. So don't feel bad.
But at the same time, it's like people. There's a lot of defenders of that game. There's a lot of very passionate defenders of Tears of the Kingdom, and that they come to my channel and they see that video, and it's like, this guy's hating on Tears of the Kingdom. I now dislike this guy.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's like,
this man has bad opinion. Boo this man.
Exactly. And that's what it takes, one hot take, and your whole YouTube channel can change, right? Like, people can see you differently, and
well,
yeah, it can change
here's
your channel completely.
Here's the motherfucker. Not only does it take one YouTube video and your channel can change, but then you'll start to follow that success.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely.
You'll
And
start
that's
to
the
you'll
thing.
start to follow that success, and then that is how it
Yeah,
changes. And
yeah,
so
and that's the thing. And you should definitely go down the route of what's getting you the most notice, right? What
exactly,
people are seeing. So
and again, not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, no, that's funny, and we'll put a pin in Tears of the Kingdom because I definitely want to talk about that because I literally had the same reaction you did. Like,
oh,
I'm
well, you
sitting there,
don't like the game?
I do not care for Tears of the Kingdom. No, I loved Breath of the Wild. Loved Breath of the Wild.
No, I will say be careful because if we talk about Tears of the Kingdom and this video goes viral, not saying it will, and people see that we are bashing Tears of the Kingdom, we will get a lot of haters on this video.
That's okay.
I've
I'll
experienced
deal
it.
with them as the same indifference I deal with my Twitter haters. Have you ever seen me deal with my Twitter haters, Sam?
No, I've seen odd comments there and there. Yeah.
It is a brutal battle of blood and it is a brutal ballad of blood and gore. Like you really before I did this, before I did flipping the switch, I was kind of an internet troll and a really good one.
Oh, who hasn't been an internet troll on the time?
Yeah. So point being is people who do that to me find out real fast. It's very fun.
So one sec.
Um,
Cold Night Gaming is you
yeah,
guys have
we're
some
gonna have
rough
to.
takes on the Thousand Year Door Kingdom. Maybe it's time for
No, he has rough takes on Thousand Year Door. He has them. We both own our rough takes on Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know enough about Thousand Year Door yet. I know I've enjoyed what I've played so far. That's it.
I will give Tears of the Kingdom its due. It at least was it was still a fun game. I still think it's a good game. I just
It's
don't
not a
think it's
bad game. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's bad.
I just
It's just
I
not
just
a
don't think
Zelda
it's the
game.
Zelda
It's a
game I
Bob the
wanted.
Builder. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Bob the Builder game. Like,
Yeah, it's interesting because it is like you say, it is a game that isn't really for me. It's not Zelda at all. It's a game about building vehicles and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's basically Legend of Zelda nuts and bolts.
it's what I was scared of, and we'll definitely. It looks like the chat's going to turn us to that now, but that's okay. So Zoo hasn't beaten Tears of the Kingdom. To be fair, that is 100% fair. Probably won't at this point. Just because of that sunk cost, like we said, like we talked.
I will say the Ganondorf fight in Tears of the Kingdom is phenomenal. Legit, like one of the best boss fights in any game I've ever played. It's so good. But
I'm an Elden Ring, Dark Souls player. So
yeah, I mean the Elden Ring boss fights. You know what you're expecting with Elden Ring boss fights. Like yeah. The Ganondorf boss fight is I don't know. There's just something about it I really love. I think that's a really really cool fight. I do think in general Tears of the Kingdom is a great game. It's just like I say, for me, it just wasn't the Zelda game I wanted at the
it's
time.
not. Yeah, the problem is it's the same problem the Legend of Zelda series has had its entire series lifespan. Is it's got a guy in charge who doesn't want to make Zelda games, and half the time doesn't make Zelda games. So I'm
Yeah.
sure it's a good game, but it is not a Zelda game. It
This is
isn't.
the thing is like Zelda's a series that has reinvented itself over and over again.
Badly, I would say badly for most of its badly.
I mean, Skyward Sword was terrible, right? It was a great story, just a very bad Zelda game when it
Terrible.
came to like mechanics.
Terrible.
Played. Yeah, I mean,
you want to hear
it's weird.
some nuclear takes? You ought to listen to me on Zelda. You want to hear some nuclear takes? I think this actually started. You can actually go back to Ocarina of Time and A Link to the Past where this bullshit started. Actually.
Oh man, I mean, come on, no hate on Ocarina of Time.
100%.
That's legit,
I don't hate Ocarina of Time.
come on.
I actually think Ocarina of Time is a fantastic game and a good Zelda game.
Bro, it's
but
the greatest game ever made. It's not.
when you are I wouldn't go that far. But when you are identifying when a series went wrong, oftentimes the beginnings of that are where it was still good. And you start to see the
peak,
shadow of the things that are to come. And I'm telling all of you, I can see the shadow of the Anuma shittiness in those two games. I can see it start to rear its head.
It kind of happens with Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy VII is like genuinely the peak of that series. it's never been beaten, and it never will be.
Well, and again,
Again,
that I have a very specific lens on Zelda because I played every Zelda game. I played every mainline Zelda game to some extent.
let's just say that you have the lens of truth on Zelda.
I won't.
That was the worst one I've ever done.
No, I won't shy away from that. Yeah, and the reason being is I remember what Zelda was. I remember what made Zelda a phenomenon back in 1986. I remember what Zelda was.
I mean, it was one of those things, though, wasn't it? Like, it'd never been done before. It was open world. You could do whatever you wanted in that game.
That's
That's
right.
why Breath of the Wild
That's
was so.
right.
I mean, Breath of the Wild was so successful purely because it was a reinvention of the Legend of
Yes.
Zelda, and it did. Effectively, it was a remake of the very first Zelda game. At heart, I suppose it was
in many
genuinely.
ways.
In many ways, yeah, absolutely.
That's not an incorrect statement at all.
Yeah, I mean,
they literally utilized a NES tech demo in order to
they did.
begin
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
implementation of The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. They went back to the roots.
I would love Nintendo to release that, by the way.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I would love to see Breath of the Wild mechanics in an NES Zelda. That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I feel like they. Although, are they kind of doing that in a way? Because they're doing obviously Echoes of Wisdom is coming out.
Echoes of Wisdom looks good. I was really skeptical of Echoes of Wisdom when it first was showed off.
For me, it kind of looks like they are using the mechanics of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then turning it 2D. That's what I see of Echoes of the Wisdom.
I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna give it a real shot.
Yeah,
it's got me
I'm looking forward to it because I'm more hyped for Echoes of Wisdom than I ever was Tears of the Kingdom. And
well,
that's
I identified early on, man. I identified. I'm like, okay, so what is Zelda? And it's a question I don't feel like people spend enough time on. Zelda is a knight in dark fantasy wonderland. That's what Zelda is. It's you playing knight in dark fantasy wonderland. It's Sleeping Beauty. It's Sword in the Stone. It's King Arthur, right? It's based on that dark Western fantasy mythos. Okay, it was Nintendo's take.
Peter Pan.
Yeah, it was.
Peter Pan is legit is the biggest influence on the Zelda series, right?
Yes. And well, I mean, literally, like Zelda 2 was literally like Miyamoto was like, that's our take on Sleeping Beauty. Literally, that was in the press releases.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it was looking at just like Mario is based on works of literary nonsense. Gulliver's Travels, Jack and the Beanstalk, Alice in Wonderland. A lot of that makes its way into the Mushroom Kingdom. And so, what is Mario? Mario is the Mushroom Kingdom, and Mario is about that nice precision platforming in an interesting literary nonsense world. What is Zelda? Knight in Celtic Wonderland. The emphasis of Zelda, the thesis of Zelda is once I was afraid and now I am not. Because you grow powerful and you grow strong as that game is. Ironically enough, I feel like the Dark Souls series for many years supplanted Zelda as a more Zelda game than Zelda was. Now it had the problem of being too difficult.
Dark Souls had the job of being the game that all the the children who grew up with Zelda, right?
And
they moved on to Dark Souls.
And that's why it started to outsell Zelda as well for a long time.
Exactly. That's the deal with the Dark Souls series is it's kind of has become the replacement for Zelda because all the people who love Zelda, they've moved on from Nintendo and they've gone to the more adult gaming, and that's why Dark Souls is so popular with that fan base.
And again, that's why Zelda is so important and why Breath of the Wild immediately came around and sold almost 30 million copies when it came back. Because here's the thing: not only do you get those customers that people like me who had moved on from this series with Breath of the Wild,
I mean,
you also
Nintendo know that as well.
you got a whole new generation of gamers because Nintendo likes that they make games for ages 5 to 95, whereas the other console makers don't. They make games from people ages 15
and Nintendo up. Because they even made Breath of the Wild kind of like their version of Dark Souls. And I think like when it comes to the whole open worlds, they made Elden Ring before Elden Ring was a thing, and that's what was so great about Breath of the Wild.
Correct.
I think I think that's awesome. Like that's kind of their way of bringing back the old fans, and obviously it's different now because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are genuinely completely different games to say Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. Completely different, but at the same time, it's still got that Zelda essence, and I
Well,
love
and
that.
again, I'm glad. Once again, I'm glad you see that because they are entirely different games. Those are
Yeah,
so
they're
in
so different that Nintendo have announced that they're in a
yep.
completely different
So
timeline to the rest of the games.
yeah, and they stuck all my games in the failure timeline. I'll never forgive that, Nintendo. Like, yeah, so you're all the games you love are in the fucking failure timeline. Which again, that's perfect. That way we never have to fuck with those games again. That's what Eiji Onuma did before
I
before
love
he
that.
literally had to
The,
make a hit before his series was going to get fucking axed, which is what happened. But yeah, so in 19 and so Eiji Onuma was hired by Nintendo in 1990, right?
yeah,
And basically he started work on a game called Marvelous Another Treasure Island. This is a Super Famicom game that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And this was a game that, like, he took the Legend of Zelda engine, but he didn't like Zelda. And the reason he didn't like Zelda is because you would have to do things like use your sword to kill Octorocks, and he couldn't do it. The Octorocks would kill him every time. The Octorocks on the first screen would kill Eiji Onuma, right?
yeah, like
And
the
so
most
he felt
basic of
like
enemies. Right?
Zelda wasn't the kind of game that was for him. And so he said in interviews that the games I like are point and click PC adventure games. And
Yeah,
literally said that his favorite things to do in A Link to the Past were things like cutting grass and like throwing rocks.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
he makes a game called Marvelous Another Treasure Island. It fucking bombs. It bombs. It never gets a translation until it gets a fan translation like 3 decades later. Fucking. Um, and so as a result of this game bombing, Shigeru Miyamoto says, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to make this guy a director on the next game. I think I'm going to make him a dungeon director on Ocarina of Time. Hence dungeons like the fucking water temple that everybody despises. And then after
yeah.
Ocarina of
I
Time,
mean,
Miyamoto said, yeah, you know that dungeon everybody hates, the water dungeon that Anuma's responsible for? Yeah, let's make him the head of the whole series. That's what we'll do.
man, Miyamoto's ruthless though. He's a at heart. He comes across as this really
He's
cool,
also a great
knowledgeable.
game maker, but I feel like in general, he's a very
Well,
bad games manager.
he doesn't make games anymore, does he? He's retired, isn't he?
No, he's so basically my understanding is he wasn't so Miyamoto is either interested in your hardware or he's not interested in your hardware. And
Yeah,
he's not really interested in the Switch from a innovation standpoint. And so essentially he's been MIA on the Switch except for some producer
yeah.
roles.
He's not
He
really paid much.
Yeah, no, he's
I
doing
think
the
like
theme parks. Well, they've got him securing Nintendo's future with things like theme
I think like
parks, the movie.
the
There
most
is a
notable
hint.
time I can remember Miyamoto being really around was for the Wii, right? Because the
Yep.
last time I remember him like even appearing properly at like an E3 or something like that was for
Yeah,
Skyward
I
Sword.
think part of me thinks he might have gotten a little bitter at the reaction of Wii Music. That's entirely speculation. Even though I was an investor at that
Yeah,
time in Nintendo, I
and
don't know if
Skyward
that's
Sword
true.
was afterwards. Right?
Well, Skyward Sword was Enuma. That Miyamoto had nothing to do with Skyward Sword except that he was
No, I mean
executive.
like the E3 reveal when he was on stage and they were playing it live and it was just didn't work.
Yeah, that was. So I
Yeah,
think that's
that was
part of
awful.
it. I also think the fact that I think they've just got Miyamoto. So Nintendo no longer has the dual console strategy, right? All their eggs are in one basket with consoles, at least at this point, right? So they don't have two consoles in order to. They don't have a dedicated handheld to buoy Nintendo's
Well, yeah, I
fortunes
mean,
if Nintendo
the
were to.
Switch. I would consider the Switch to be more of a handheld than a home
You're right.
console personally. But
You're 100% correct. But they market it as a console. One of the geniuses of the Switch is they got all of us dumb motherfuckers to buy games at console prices for a handheld. It's one of the geniuses of the system, and we did.
yeah,
We
that's it.
absolutely
Like,
did.
yeah.
Mission accomplished. You guys absolutely got us to do that. But because we don't have that dedicated handheld, because they call it a console, they call it a hybrid console. Because we don't have that dedicated handheld to buoy Nintendo if the next system goes wrong. So they launched their new system. It's going to once again probably be a hybrid console, more console even, and you're probably going to have all your eggs in one basket
I
again.
think it gives them the inkling that they can continue releasing games for the Switch, right?
We don't know. We don't know yet. I know all of the Nintendo YouTubers that need something to talk about are saying
But
that, but I don't know
oh
if
god,
it's true or not. We won't know
oh
till.
my god, I know I've not. I've done this in the past as well, where I've spoke about the Switch 2, but
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, can we not talk about the Switch 2 because I'm sick of talking about it?
You know what's so funny about that, Sam, is time converts more than reason. I've been saying, can we shut the fuck up about Switch 2? I've been saying that. Oh, there he is. I've been saying that for almost 3 years now. I've been saying that because they've been talking about it for 3 years like that. And
yeah, it's
I'm glad people have finally caught up to the fact that it's fucking annoying.
I won't name any like YouTubers, but there's just so many YouTubers out there that they are exploiting the Switch 2 videos, and I feel like it kind of is killing off some of the passion for me a little bit, because it's like, oh, people are saying, oh, next week there's going to be a reveal of the Switch 2. Next week rolls around and there is no reveal.
I will.
To me, that is
Nate, Nintendo Prime, if you're listening. Nate, Nintendo Prime, if you're listening. Yeah, what was it? He was making like 2 a day at some point. And I used to roast the shit out of Nate to the point where he probably will never come on the fucking show now. But it's all in good love. But again, I have both good reasons and funny reasons for roasting the Switch 2 people. Fuck, even OJ lately, Player Essence been making some Switch 2 videos. Now, in his defense, we're finally we're well. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with making a Switch 2 video. It's just when people exploit it, and it's to the point where it's like
exactly
you're just spreading fake news.
And again, in their defense now, we're at a point where they've announced a system now, at least. So the fucking system does exist. Yeah. We know that now.
Yeah, it's coming. It's definitely
what I was infuriated by is all the Switch 2 content when we didn't even have a fucking Switch 2 announcement. What are you doing? There's nothing you're literally like source my ass, like literally. That was the content until very recently. So in his defense, but I still don't like to see it because I'm exhausted by it, like everybody else is exhausted about it, because you fucking guys started this 3 to 4 years ago. The first Switch 2 videos are 4 to 5 years old. Rich from Review Tech talked about this system 5 years ago.
All it does as well is cause disappointment, because like people expect things, right? So like, for example, Nintendo Directs, right? I today, to this very day, I will never make a Nintendo Direct video because I know how disappointing it can be to people when like you say, oh, this game's going to get announced for the Nintendo Direct, and then if, for example, when that happens, you know, the Direct comes along and then that game doesn't get announced, and you're the one who said, yeah, there's going to be a new Zelda game announced at this Direct, and then if there isn't one, you know, that's on you. You know, you've spread lies, you've spread rumors, you've spread a fake news that is, you know, going to cause issues with.
I feel like we've got to differentiate though, because is it a lie, or is it some of those people just like, here's my speculation? I don't have a problem with it as long as you say source my ass, source I made it up. Like
speculation is different because obviously speculation is what you think, whereas
right, but you got to be clear about that. Now it's a different story if it's like, hey, my uncle who works at Nintendo said that a Nintendo Direct is
exactly when you're spreading rumors like that, you're saying that they're, you know, this is gospel, this is stuff that I know is true, this is stuff that is I've heard from, you know, my cousin's husband's daughter's sister, you know. Yeah, that's where it kind of blurs the line of, is this content legit? Is this, you know, what I'm hearing from this is this actually going to happen? Well, whereas I've made Switch 2 videos, and I've made videos where I've speculated about what games will appear on the Switch 2. But I've never said in that video that these games are coming. Like I literally state at the start of that video that these are just games that I think will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this could happen. It again, probably won't happen.
And I feel like some Nintendo YouTubers get into the idea that, hey, we're perceived as the experts on this, and so we have to appear like we know more than we do. I feel like that's a lot of it. But again, I operate from the church of I don't know, and it is a glorious church to operate from. So I will tell you what I think. Like, for example, I told everybody, hey, I don't know when the fucking Switch 2 is coming out. I have no inside information. But given my study of Nintendo for the last 20 years, business-wise, I'm going to tell you it's not coming in 2024. It's not. It's not coming in 2024, guys.
No, of course it's not. It's not. No, they'll either announce it, like, because they've said it'll be this fiscal year, right? And
Yeah, I said that in 2022. I'm like, hey, it's not coming in 2023. Hey guys, it's not coming in 2024, guys.
I can see Nintendo riding the Switch for at least another year. Personally, I think the Nintendo Switch is that popular. It's legit the most isn't it the second most popular console of all time at the moment?
Yeah, and it's gonna pass. And it's about to pass the DS.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to pass PS2 eventually.
Well,
so Nintendo are going to ride that. They aren't just going to release a new console.
I like to joke with people about this. Is Nintendo going to be able to put out a corporate press release to their investors saying they quote unquote passed the DVD player? Yes. Yes, they will. Did they really pass the DVD player? Well, I don't know about that. And the reason for that is what year is it right now, Sam?
2024.
Yeah. What year did the PlayStation 2 come out?
God, was it 2002?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Were there a lot less people and customers in 2002 than there are in 2024 in the global stage?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did the PlayStation 2 to the DVD player have access to the Chinese market in 2002?
No.
The answer is no. There's all kinds of reasons. So again, direct comparisons across time is a trick to gullible investors. That's all it is. You're talking to the investors and people that repeat that without understanding that you're talking. Those are for investors that don't understand that 2002 was a very different time than 2024. And then when you do the macroeconomic analysis, the full macroeconomic analysis, there will probably be nothing ever top the PlayStation 2 ever. And again, I'm a Nintendo fan. I'm just giving raw facts here.
The PlayStation 2, I mean, it was the revolution, wasn't it? It was the console that changed gaming. Like,
well,
I mean,
now let's take
it now. Like, look at the jump from the PS4 to the PS5. What actually was the jump? Like, what difference is there?
Nothing, and they're not really 4K and 120 frames per second, which most people can't get.
I mean, the only difference is probably like the RTX and stuff like that. Like that's probably the
ray tracing sometimes. And if you're going to ray trace, you get a performance hit on your system. Literally, like you can do ray tracing mode, or you can do performance mode. Like
exactly, and some most of the games that are cross-gen PS4, PS5, these are basically the same anyway. And
they're being punished for that. If you look at the sales, they're being punished for that right now. Both those systems.
Yeah, exactly.
The 4K twins are getting brutalized right now.
Yeah, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I'm sure they're great consoles. I don't have either of them, by the way. I literally Switch is the only console.
Great consoles. Great consoles have exclusive games.
I'm sure they're great consoles. It's just I just don't have any kind of reason to get them. Because my PS4 does everything I want it to do. It still plays some of the games that are coming out today, and it plays them just fine. They look nice still. There's no reason for me to get a PS5 at the moment or an Xbox Series X. I will eventually, probably. What reason is there? There's no massive jump from the generation.
I'll give PlayStation 4 this. I don't have a PlayStation 4 yet, but PlayStation 4 has an arcade perfect port by M2 Shot Trigger, a Batsu gun. Exactly. I'm probably gonna own a PlayStation 4 at some point for that alone.
The God of War Ragnarok PS4 port looked exactly the same.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's. Yeah. And again, literally, Spider-Man 2, my PC's getting that game. I hope you fucking assholes who have PS5s understand. I'm getting that game too. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish Sony would stop that. I wish they would.
There's no reason to get an Xbox Series X either, because
zero. You
can literally play all of the games on the Xbox Series X on your PC.
Yeah, the only thing, and again, people are like, well, Games Pass. Guess what? Guess who can get Games Pass right now on my PC if I want
it? Yeah, Game Pass is on PC.
Yep. It's zero reason. My PC, my 6-year-old PC can run all those games better than your Xbox Series X can.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not even kidding. And the thing is, I know people who say the Xbox Series X has the best specs, right? It's the best specs in any console at the moment. Yeah, but it's the lowest of the low when it comes to PC.
Yeah, I mean, so the bottom line is to actually sell that to actually sell a console at market, that's what these 4K twins are finding out. There is a diminishing returns to graphical, because in order to pack all the shit you need for those high graphics, you have to make cuts. You have to make sacrifices, or nobody's going to buy it.
And believe it or not, those graphics one day will be very outdated.
Yep.
And that's why I like Nintendo so much, because Nintendo's games are so stylized when it comes to visuals.
Yep.
Like look at Wind Waker, for example. That game, in my opinion, is the best looking game of all time, and that's purely because
I'm not going to argue with that. As much as I hate Wind Waker, I'm not going to argue with that, because the game looks fucking fine.
It genuinely is. Like, it's the nicest looking game of all time, and that's purely because of the cell shading. It looks genuinely better than old games.
See, and I'm on the outside looking in on this, because apparently that's, and I still don't believe this was a problem back then. A lot of people were really angry about that back in the day, and I remember looking at those cell shaded graphics and being like, "That's beautiful. What the fuck are you all talking about?" And then I played it, and then I played it. But the visuals, I'm the exact opposite of everybody else. I loved the visual design and hated the fucking game.
I personally love the game, but like it's I can see why people dislike it. I mean,
sure.
Obviously, people had their rights to dislike the game, like when it first came out, because most people were expecting a realistic-looking Zelda game, especially after the Space World incident.
See, and I wasn't even expecting the Space World was big. I get that was a bait and switch. I understand that. I get it, guys.
Yeah.
But I was fine with the graphics. I just wanted a fucking Zelda game. That's all I wanted, was a Zelda game. And I didn't get it, and I haven't gotten it for most of Zelda's history, honestly.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like games today, just like they look nice, realistic. Hyperrealism is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, hyperrealism is awesome when you have the best specs and you can really visualize it on a great TV. Absolutely, hyperrealism, all for it. However, I will just say that give it 10, 15 years, and those games will look like absolute ass. It's like, things will look great over time. Whereas Nintendo games, for me, like they have this stylized visual most of the games, and it is purely down to the hardware compatible, how good they are and how good the hardware is.
Well,
that's why Nintendo is so good, because
even the art style that people claim they wanted, like Twilight Princess, like that's stylized to a point where it still fucking looks good. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think Twilight Princess personally is starting to age. Like, you can see visually, it's starting to look like it's aging a bit. But
and that tutorial, that fucking tutorial.
Twilight Princess is a great game. It's one of the best games Zelda game wise, and I will say that the first half of that game, Jesus Christ,
it has its moments, but that tutorial. If they ever redo that game, they have got to do something about that tutorial.
It's so slow.
Most people will never see it because they're not doing that shit.
But yeah, it's a good game. Once you get to like the bit where you finally get the Master Sword, it's genuinely one of the best Zelda games. But yeah, I mean, it takes its time. Definitely takes its time. But anyway, as I'm saying, like it's for me. I wanted
to like Twilight Princess, which is more than I can say about the other two Enuma 3D Zelda games. Like, I wanted to like Twilight Princess. It's got a great combat system. Got a fantastic combat system.
Well, I can see Nintendo making a remake of Twilight Princess personally. I think it's the game that seems to be in trend right now. A lot of people like Twilight Princess. Like, it's at that point in the Zelda cycle where people seem to love Twilight Princess.
And it did color itself enough like Ocarina of Time to where it was.
Oh well,
it was the best selling Legend of Zelda game since OG Legend of Zelda in terms of the macroeconomic analysis.
And Twilight Princess in itself, it has a lot to thank for when it comes to Ocarina of Time, because it basically was a Ocarina of Time remake in a sense.
In a way, yeah, for sure.
It had obviously all the wolf stuff, but yeah, essentially it was a Ocarina of Time.
Anytime Enuma takes your sword away, I know he doesn't like the sword, but I want to kick him in his fucking nuts every time he does that. Like, every time he takes the sword away. That was the first thing I was furious about with Echoes of Wisdom. It's just like, oh, here we fucking go again. Oh, he's taking the sword away again. This is going to be shit. No sword in the logo. Shit game. But
Is that why you hated Wind Waker? Because the very first dungeon in the game takes your sword away.
yep, he loves to do that shit. He fucking loves to do that shit. Because just because you can't beat the Octo Rocks, Anuma, doesn't mean we can't. Give us our
So
fucking sword.
Rushdog says Twilight Princess HD looks rough.
Does it? Okay. Interesting.
It did shorten the
Interesting.
intro
I
a
would
little
have
bit.
thought it would have held up a little better, but again, it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean they made the HD version, didn't they, for the Wii U, and it tries like it looks nice, like it still does look nice.
We better do some
It's
chat catch up, otherwise they'll take over if we don't.
yeah,
So let's
it's
take a
quite a bit
quick
of
peek
chat.
here. Rush Dog says, "What's everyone drinking?" So he's drinking Coca-Cola, right?
Oh my god, sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm having
And
to stream on my phone tonight because my daughter's asleep. So
a lot of people do that, man. That's awesome. That's groovy. And I am drinking some Pepsi with a little bit of Four Roses single barrel in there. So a little bit of a less of a liquored up live, but still liquored up enough, I guess. At least one of us is drinking it, so that makes it. And yeah, he's drinking Coca-Cola, so he's part of what we call the Kool-Aid Club, an honorary member of the Kool-Aid Club. Which again, do not feel bad. Like, you are in illustrious company. I think Jay from Cold Nights is in the Kool-Aid Club. I think OJ from Player Essence is in the Kool-Aid Club.
You know, I'm from England, and England is the country known for drinking. Right? We practically invented drinking. Yeah, I'm not much of a drinker when it comes to drinking. I mean, I drink a little bit, but I wouldn't say I drink a lot.
You're better off for
I
it.
drink
Man.
everything.
You're better off for it.
I mean, we're the country that allows people to walk down the street with a can of log and just casually swig away. So.
Oh my gosh! Okay, well, there's one thing. There's one thing you don't need a license for, so that's perfect. I can get behind that.
Yeah,
Wish they would do that here.
Our country is mad when it comes to
it's the
alcohol.
meme.
We literally.
Yeah. But
And
again,
I come from a town as well. My birthplace is a town that has the largest brewery in Europe. So.
That's fucking awesome. Have you toured it?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It takes up basically half of the cityscape of the brewery.
I'll
It literally
tell
you can see it from everything. It's massive.
These industrial food production facilities are huge. Literally a few blocks away from me, we have the Pillsbury plant. You know the brand Pillsbury? Well, back in like the 1960s and 70s, the big Pillsbury plant for the Pillsbury brand was in Springfield, Illinois. And it got shut down.
Wow.
It shut down. It was a victim of industrializing a long time ago. But basically what happened is, for anybody that's interested in this, I'm gonna go off on a quick tangent. So you had the fact where it was very cheap to produce things, and you wanted to produce things as locally as possible and to your market as possible. But then what happened is we got invented the train cart, the cargo cart, the cargo container. Now, why was the cargo container a game changer for people in business, for business people? Because the cargo container was a square container that you could break down from ship level to train level to semi level in rectangular bricks, basically. So you would have a ship cargo container that contained 50 of those fucking trailer bricks, and that would break down into bricks that would be 10 each that could fit on 5 train carts, which then could then be broken down into 50 smaller containers that could be put on the backs of semi trucks. When we invented that, that is what opened up the world to international global production of things. So now you might have one component that is in China. You might have another component that's in the Mariana Islands, yet another component that is in England, and another component right here in the United States. And the end result of this is this allowed for the globalization of manufacturing. Whereas before it was cheaper just to stay as close to your market as possible. Now, what does that matter? It fucking doesn't matter. We're just talking about fun, interesting stuff. So Pillsbury plant closed in the 80s due to that. But the reason I bring that up is how big this fucking thing is, because this thing is probably a whole 2 city blocks by itself, and it was just to produce baked goods. So I imagine the brewery is just as big.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's massive. Like you can look out my house window, and it's there. It's literally right in front of you.
Yeah, I actually referenced
it's awesome, man.
I actually referenced the Pillsbury plant or things like your brewery in my Kirby and the Forgotten Land review, because it's like, hey, I've got maybe this game appeals to me so much because I've got a fucking Forgotten Land right in my backyard. Like literally, that's the exact style, which is like the rundown civilization.
I've never thought about that. That's actually a really good way to.
It's rundown civilization right in your backyard. Literally, there's trees growing up through some of the buildings. There's like trees and forest overgrowth in there.
There is a certain fascination as well, isn't there, with like abandoned stuff? People seem to love abandoned stuff.
It's a whole genre of YouTube. Speaking of which, if I really wanted to make a killing on this, I would take my fucking camera down to the Pillsbury plant and just walk around. Like it is a magical place, man.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool. So anyway, that all stemmed from a what's everybody drinking question. That's why we like Liquored Up Live. Cold Nights is drinking Rockstar, baby. Rockstar energy drinks.
Wow.
We got Rush Dog says, nice, Jay, and then says, any indie game published physically by Fangamer is widely available. Yeah, go to fangamer.com. And they publish, they also do Undertale and they do Hollow Knight. So, yeah, Undertale is another one that's fantastic. Really, really good game. I'm actually stuck right now. I'm at the end of Undertale. The second style of game. I'm at the very end. I'm stuck on the last boss. I can't beat him. No spoilers, guys.
Which boss? Which this?
No spoilers. It's at the end of the kill everyone run.
Oh,
and
okay.
He is a piece of shit.
So you're fighting Sans.
I'm fighting no spoilers, but yeah, he is redonkulous.
Yeah.
And he cheats, and I think that's the point of the boss, actually. He literally cheats.
That fight took me, it took me a good 100 attempts, at least.
Oh, God, yeah, I gave up after, 20, but I'm going to get back to it. But,
I think, it's one of those fights that you have to learn, literally, you have to know it off by heart to beat it.
Woo! And again, the guy cheats, literally cheats. But again, that's part of the point. That's part of the point the fight's trying to make to the player.
It's supposed to be a punishment, though, isn't it? It's the idea. It's supposed to be.
Yes.
The whole fight is supposed to be the game
punishment for your sins. Yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, no, I have actually beaten that fight. It took me a long time, but
oh my gosh, hats off to you. Yeah, that fight's brutal, man. Rush Dog says, beware the sunk cost fallacy when consuming media you don't enjoy. Yeah, it is perfectly fine to drop something you're not getting into, 100%. And I wish more people would understand that, because here's the thing. Life is so short. Life is so fucking short. It's even shorter when you're watching entertainment that doesn't entertain you. So, yep. Peace Walker is great. Lots of historical influence and Metal Gear Solid zaniness. E.g. the Monster Hunter crossover? What? Is that true?
Yeah, there is, yeah. On Peace Walker, there's a Monster Hunter boss fight.
Well, Rush Dog said it. It's obviously true, but Rush Dog is like kind of a really good fact checker for me on things. And so,
I think it's
most of the time when Rush says something, I take it pretty good.
Yeah.
Man, Monster Hunter crossover. That's fucking awesome. Speaking of fun, zany crossovers with Hideo Kojima is in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's in Konpeki Plaza talking about brain dances and what he wants to do with combining emotions to give the real human experience. It's so funny. And it's literally a misnamed Hideo Kojima. It's him. It's literally him.
I've never played Cyberpunk, but I can see that. I can imagine that's the thing.
Now's a good time to play Cyberpunk. 4 years ago, my understanding is it was in really bad shape.
Isn't this the biggest disasters ever?
Yes. We all heard about it. But it's in really good shape now. I kind of liken it to No Man's Sky. actually, is where I kind of liken it to, which is a game that was a fucking disaster when it came out. And he literally spent like, he's still fixing it. A new update. My friend V literally told me like a new update just came out that added even more shit. And we're at the point now where the game has fulfilled all of its promises that initially fulfilled on its launch.
Yeah,
It's fulfilled
like
all of them, and now it's doing new
I've heard
stuff.
people say that I've heard people say that No Man's Sky is actually a pretty decent game now, though. Like
People say it's one of the best sci-fi games ever now. Yeah. And like I said, now he's literally on to, okay, we've done everything we promised. Now I'm just going to give you a bunch of free shit that I didn't promise you. Now here's some new shit I didn't even promise now. Like we're to that level of that game now. And then Jay's comments about the competition, which we love that, man. Like I'm gonna give that a rare because I forget I can do this. Well, thought there's a way I can do this. Is there not? How do I hard it?
The Monster Hunter crossover of Peaceful is it's somewhat hilarious, but also quite interesting because like you literally, I think it's a dinosaur or a dragon you fight in that boss battle. It's quite cool.
Rush Talk says I'm just here for the discussion, which is that's why we want people here is the discussions. Yeah, good, candid, open discussions with cool people. Good food, good drink, good company. That's the essence of a liquored up life.
I'm not sure cool people is the right word. I'm like the nerdiest guy you'll ever meet.
Hey, you know what? I think nerds are cool. So you're cool in my book. It's impossible to keep up with all the great content on YouTube. True. Oh my gosh, that's true. There's so many videos I want to watch and I still need to get to. Be patient with me, guys. I will watch all your stuff. Ultimately, I will. I don't watch very many big YouTubers because I actually find smaller YouTubers to be better in many ways.
Yeah,
I can only think of a few YouTubers I watch that are larger than 50,000, honestly.
Yeah, I agree to that. I think watching the smaller YouTubers is when you find like hidden gem channels, like that is peak YouTube.
Yes, yeah. It's when you find like a hidden treasure channel. It's like, oh man. Rush says our own psychology works to downplay the impact of luck on our success. It's a lot harder for us to accept our success is partially random. Well, yeah, it's the ego, right? It's you got to get that ego death any way you can.
Yeah.
Have you achieved ego death, Sam?
No. Hang on. To read in the comments. Sorry.
Do you do mushrooms?
Where are you? No.
That's a shortcut. I'm not recommending you do that. But Silent Helman is a shortcut to that in T. So a lot of people, it's like, well, but you can also do ego death through a long, slow process of just being fucking wrong and accepting the fact that you're wrong multiple times. We'll also do the same thing over time. But ego death is important. Oh, what's going on?
Just reading the chat. I'm just finding where you are.
Yeah, I'm on Our Own Psychology Works to Downplay the Impact of Luck on Our Success by Rush Dog.
Oh, okay.
But again, not recommending anybody do mushrooms. Not recommending that. Just pointing out that is a shortcut that has been used by the likes of Steve Jobs to do that exact thing.
Like the scene in Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny.
It's not that strong. My understanding is, again, not talking to someone who has done the mushrooms. Wink, wink.
You ain't quite into Sasquatch.
But it's however you can achieve ego death, achieve ego death. Ego will stop you. Ego is the mind killer. It will stop you from literally making your dreams come true. You have to kill your ego. You have to. Do it any way you can. If it takes mushrooms, hey, it is something you may consider. If you can do it the old-fashioned and painful way, like I actually did, which is to just be wrong multiple times over and over again and accept that wrongness, that'll slowly over time kill your ego too. You guys have some rough takes on Thousand Year Door and Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom 100%. Maybe it's time for a Tragedy of Tears of the Kingdom video to change your opinion, Zoo. Now that's funny because actually there's a funny story behind that. Jay has a right now 100% take of changing my mind about Zelda content in terms of that. He made a video called "The Tragedy of Breath of the Wild" because I made a comment that I don't care about Link's shitty friends. Like, that's one of the things I didn't care about in Breath of the Wild. I really don't care about Link and his shitty friends. And he made a video that made me care about the shitty friends. So, and then also I had mentioned that I thought the Yiga clan was dumb. And then he made a video about the mysteries of the Yiga clan. And some of their story is so much more in depth than you would ever expect. And I never would have discovered that because I couldn't stand the fucking
My take on the Yiga clan is I like the lore behind the Yiga clan. I think
I
it's
do
cool that
too.
there's like
It's
this.
really cool.
I like the idea that they're just kind of like clan of people who realized they didn't agree with the royal family and went the opposite direction and became their own kind of
Like a different
like the
offshoot of
Sheikah,
the
right?
Sheikah, yeah.
Yeah. They kind of they went their own way and became outcasts, and then obviously that evolved into being followers of Ganon.
Well, and there's more
But
to it. Jay has a video if you haven't seen it called the
the only thing I
Origins of
don't
the
like,
Yiga clan. It's so good.
yeah, the only thing I don't like about the Yiga clan is how goofy they are presented to be. I
Yeah,
kind of feel like
and I
they're
was with
presented
you.
to be like, yeah, they especially Master Koga, who's like the leader of the Yiga, and he's
Well,
like a buffoon character, right? Yeah.
and I had the same exact opinion. Same exact opinion. Jay uncovered some historical stuff about like the Yiga clan and its origins and what its inspirations were. And those I don't want to spoil it, but definitely watch that because he goes into why Master Koga is that way and why they can have a little bit of a
Mhm.
wackier element. Like there's a
Yeah,
strategy to it.
I mean, it's not to say that he's not an interesting character, because obviously he's one of the best characters in Tears of the Kingdom when it comes to story. But it's yeah, I just kind of think that when you introduce a new clan like the Yiga clan that are supposed to be like this evil clan,
And then you get
yeah,
this
I would
guy
have
that's
liked
just a
to see him
silly ass.
liberating. Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of having just like a silly character, like basically Tingle 2.0, right?
Yeah, no,
Um,
well, that's mean to Master Koga. But I get what you're saying with that. I get what you're saying with that.
but yeah, yeah, I suppose. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Master Koga kind of have a bigger presence in the game, especially Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
I feel like Master Koga could have been a great main antagonist in that game.
Yeah,
Instead of
I could
obviously
see
clamping
that.
down.
I could definitely see that. Just please take out that fucking awful stealth shit. Oh my god, it almost made me quit
Yeah.
the game. It's the one part of that Breath of the Wild I can't stand. So bad.
Oh yeah, in the Gerudo
Oh,
area.
it's so
Yeah,
bad. So bad.
glory to Master Koga.
Cold Knights Gaming says Miss Mouse is peak RPG material. And then Rush Dog says Miss Mouse is the best character but worst party member. Miss Mouse is that's from that's NPC from Tears of the Kingdom, one of those wacky ass Anuma NPCs, but some people love them. True, always have Vivian though. And then Rush Dog says Vivian is great. Goombella is my favorite. How's your playthrough going, Jay? And then Cold Knight says, got stalled, but looking to continue. Just got another PS3 with a working disk drive, so got pulled away for a bit. And then Rush Dog says, weren't you like
Yeah.
0 in 1986, Zoo? No, at the tail end of 1986, I was 1 month old, actually. So I was, so in 1986, by the end of it, I was 1 month old. Actually, no, 2 months old. 2 months old. So naturally I didn't play. So yeah, let me clarify for the chat. I didn't play Legend of Zelda in 1986. I played it in like 1991, 1990. My dad would know the real year because it's the year he brought home that NES for me. And but in 1986, I'm talking in terms of sales. So in 1986, yeah, that game. So we had Nintendo coming out. There was a gaming crash in 1983. All Eastern markets were closed to Nintendo in terms of China and the Eastern European bloc, Soviet Union, all closed markets. You had a cold market because market was cold to video games. You had a cold market in terms of the product because nobody knew what the fuck a Legend of Zelda was. So in 1986, the fact that Legend of Zelda sold 7 million copies, we've done like the macroeconomic analysis. It's anywhere from like 12 to 16 million, depending on which factors you calculate, which you leave out, that game would have sold in 2024 numbers. It was a monumental success. So second only to Mario and Duck Hunt, like the Mario Brothers phenomenon and the Duck Hunt, which kind of rode its tails. Now, in terms of me as a kid, yeah, I played Legend of Zelda for the first time, like I said, in either 1990, 1991, and absolutely adored it. And I also got to play Zelda 2 not long after it because we were able to get that cart too. There were people forget that like there's a John Stossel documentary called Crazy Nuts for Nintendo. He literally sees people standing in line for these supposed black sheep games like Zelda 2 and Mario Brothers 2. They had to go across state lines because there was a cartridge shortage, right? So it's not that those games necessarily were unpopular. Why they sold less. A lot of those games sold less because in 1988 until like 1990, for like 2 years, there was a cartridge shortage, and a lot of NES games didn't even get their second run until like 1990 at the tail end of the system's life. So the NES, you could argue that despite the NES's monumental success, the NES actually was hampered by production and other matters. Production, markets not being open to it that its predecessors would have. There's all kinds of stuff there. The story of the NES, like, yeah, if you calculate for all that, the NES was a phenomenon that probably has never been replicated, honestly.
The NES is a great little console, to be fair.
Oh, I love the NES so much. I still love it. Yeah. Rushdock says, I do remember NES.
Believe it or not, in the UK, the NES was nowhere near as popular. Over this side of the world, we had it's a Mega Drive. You call it Genesis, right?
Yeah, it was the Master System in that day.
The Master System, that's it. Yeah, the Master System was more popular.
Oh, 100%. And it's easy to see why Nintendo fucking ignored you all for so like they were terrible as far as supporting the European market.
I don't really know anyone, to be honest, that at my own like kind of little bubble in this country, like I don't really know anyone who has an NES or an SE.
Yeah, they didn't invest there. They didn't invest there. They didn't give you guys the games that they needed.
The majority of people over here basically had the Master System or the Mega Drive.
By the way, it's still there are still consequences to that to this day because PlayStation is still the more popular console over in the UK. Due to the lack, there's still consequences stemming from that lack of support until later on.
Well, this is it. I mean, the PlayStation. Yeah, I mean, it is the flagship console, isn't it? It's the one that everyone goes for now.
It's been that way the entire history of UK gaming, and that's because Nintendo had very, very poor support for their European countries for a long
time. Nintendo isn't actually that huge over here. Like we don't, as a country, you know, Nintendo isn't our main source of like gaming. Like we don't.
Right.
I would say Nintendo is the third most popular out of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Like,
sure. But
yes, the same for the Switch.
What I'm saying is, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Nintendo didn't invest early there. I think Nintendo invested relatively late in supporting. Like, same thing with like a lot of Australian gaming. You should hear the horror stories of trying to get Nintendo products there, or Brazil. Places like Brazil where the Master System is still supported. And there just wasn't a lot of Nintendo support outside of the United States and Japan for a long, long time until actually like the last 15 years.
That's why Europe often gets games last, right? We often get the last version of games.
You guys didn't even do Chrono Trigger in the SNES era. That's fucking criminal.
Yeah.
They didn't even do Chrono Trigger. Although, to be fair, you guys did get Terra Enigma. And Terra Enigma is an amazing game.
There was some games for some reason we got that you didn't get.
Terra Enigma was the one that was a big one. That's such a good game. Let's see here.
We even got like the. We're talking about a Zelda here, but Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land.
Oh, you can keep that one.
Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land.
You can have
yeah, like that's a game that we got over here, and you guys did not get it.
Good.
Like, what?
Good. Again,
What
that's
a
all. That's all
strange
yours.
game.
That's all yours. That's all yours. I do remember NES Zelda being a big deal. Rush Dog said, my fishing, hunting, farming uncle became obsessed with it when it came out. Never touched another video game after. Yeah, kind of that one and done phenomenon for a lot of people. Yeah, Zelda was everybody was playing Zelda. Everyone is going crazy to play as Zelda, Cold Knight said. They need to go back and play the 2 Muso entries playing as Zelda and her Hilda variant are some of my fondest memories with the series. And you're right, Jay. Those Muso games, those Hyrule Warriors games are really good. I'm just scared of them because I'll tell you my story. So I did the main story in Hyrule Warriors. Then I did the Legend of Zelda map for like the map mode, adventure mode, or whatever. And then I saw that there were like 25 other adventure mode maps and all the other different variants of the main campaign. And I dropped the game because I got scared that it was going to consume my life like Morrowind did and does. And I do not
Yeah,
need another Morrowind in my life. It's scary.
didn't someone find out how long it would take to actually 100% Hyrule Warriors? And it was like something ridiculous, like
I think the completionist did it, and it was thousands of hours. Now I'm not sure
yeah,
if that's one he threw in the towel on though, because there's been a couple of games he literally couldn't do, and that might have
yeah,
been one.
completely.
I'll be
That's
honest.
mad.
You would have to dedicate your life to completing Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition.
Yeah,
You would
it's
have to.
not worth it.
But again, not everybody plays games for completionists, so I need to
I
pick
don't.
it up again and just play through it again because it's such a joy to play. It's a good game.
I literally play games as casual. Like I rarely ever fully completed a game. Like I finish games, I don't complete them. Is
Yeah,
what I'd say.
that's a good way to put it. I tend to be along the same vein, Sam. I'll play a game and sometimes I'll go further than the main story. But yeah, when I start to feel it, it's done. It's done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. There's no point like wasting your time on something that is not really necessarily actually achieving anything.
Right.
You're just wasting time doing something that's if you find that fun, that's up to you, isn't it? Like
Right.
my partner, she has to complete a game. She has to like 100% every game she plays.
So Rush Dog says Sony still makes games for the younger crowd. Astrobot just came out. Also Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I agree. But the exceptions prove the rule. And as a rule, I feel like Sony focuses, especially now that they've canceled Japan Studio, I think they are exclusively focused on what Juice Man Vaughn from Player Essence's community calls those popcorn ass games. Basically, those super cinematic games, and most of those are going to be for that not not necessarily adult crowd, but that older gamer crowd, right? And
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
Astrobot just came out. Astro's Playroom, Ratchet and Clank. There's a game called there's a game where I forget I forget what it's called. That was on the PS3 where you would like turn yourself into like an armor of like a troll looking guy. I don't know what it's called. There are exceptions, but they prove the rule, I think.
Oh, listen.
Rush Dog says,
A
"What are your
game, a
thoughts on
game,
legal?" Oh, go ahead.
a game where what? Sorry, that you turn yourself into armor.
That might not even be a good description of the game. I don't know what the fuck that even was, but I was trying to describe. There was a I think it was a PS3 exclusive, and it was made for the younger crowd. Let me just type in PS3 exclusive or PS4 exclusives maybe, and it was a launch title on launch, and then I'll be able to tell you what it is. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Warframe, Trine 2, Super Motherload, Soundshape, Skylanders, Playroom, sports games, Killzone, Shadowfall, Flower, Dive Kick, Contrast, Call of Duty. No, okay. PS5 at launch, PS3 at launch.
Knack.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Knack.
Knack, that's it. Knack.
Knack.
Yeah, I feel
Knack.
like Knack was another one of those games that was also for the younger crowd that Rush Dog's talking
Oh,
about too. Knack. That's it. That's the one.
Knack. What? Yeah. I mean, Sony are underrated when it comes to platformers, right? They're quite underrated.
Yeah, because you got Little Big Planet too.
Little Big Planet is an incredible game. I love Little Big Planet. What a
Yeah,
game that is.
when I finally played Little Big Planet, I did enjoy it. For a while, I was kind of steamed at it, not of any fault of Media Molecule or Sony, but because dumb fuck game journos were saying that New Super Mario Brothers ripped off Little Big Planet, and I was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
No, that's not true. I don't believe in that.
It's absolutely not
I mean,
true because again,
New
Mario
Super Mario
invented
Bros.
the
Was literally it
yeah,
was a reimagining of the original Super Mario game. So
100%, and also the fact that are you fucking come on? Like Mario Brothers invented the modern scrolling platformer. Wasn't the first, but it reinvented it. I think Jump Bug or Pack World were the first that I can recall.
yeah, right. And I think Little Big Planet was its own kind of creation, right? It had its own kind of style of gameplay. Like
Exactly. So yeah,
everything was
it's actually an
interactable.
insult to both games to make that comparison. It's like when they say this
Yeah,
is the Dark Souls of. It's like, can't you fucking think of anything original to? Can't you take? I know you have an article due once a day, and you got to get your clickbait, but don't you all? Can't you all take some time to just think up a thoughtful thing to say about these games? Do you have to be such
yeah,
hicks in games
yeah.
journalism?
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's people like to see things fail, and they like to see and compare things with other things that are more famous or popular. Like for example, I mean, this is probably a bad comparison, but what was that game that came out on PS5 recently? That was like a Splatoon copy. It was a clone.
Oh, the
Soap
bubble game,
Stars.
the bubble game. Yeah, Foam Stars. That's it.
Home Stars, that's the one. Yeah, like that is like it's blatantly Splatoon, right? But even then, if you actually play the game Foam Stars, it has its own gameplay.
Well, and again, that's
It's
why
you know,
I don't really agree with people when they say things like that. Like you're saying, it had its own ideas, had its own innovations. Shakespeare famously said, "I am not," because people would praise Shakespeare for being original. He said, "I'm not original. I'm holding a mirror up to nature. Nothing is new under the sun at this point. All things are derivative works from something, whether it's nature, whether it's the things you've read, whether it's the entertainment you've consumed. A vast majority of content is not truly original. The originality is in the interpretation of those things."
yeah, and this is the thing is everything's been done already, right? Like
That's what I'm
there's
saying. Yeah, I think we underplay the interpretation of things. I think that's creativity as well. I think reinterpretation is creativity.
Yeah, exactly. And everything's a reimagining of everything else, isn't it? So
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there are the occasional thing that's like, oh, here's a brand new discovery, but it's rare. It's very rare.
oh yeah, there's something there, yeah.
So Jay
And what
says,
means do we have? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
oh, no, you're okay. So Jay says, I was there for day one of the DLC for Linkle, the Linkle question Rush Dog had for him. Her and Skull Kid were two of my favorites. I think she is adorable and pure of heart, just like Link. Selflessly and cluelessly runs into danger, and her relationship with the Kukos was so cute. I'll have to look into Linkle. I'm not familiar with that character.
Oh, Linkle is it's just the female version of Link.
Okay.
That's literally
Yeah,
it.
that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Um.
She appeared in Hero Warriors, and that's
Okay.
the only time she's ever
I must have dismissed her. Um.
yeah.
Ocarina of Time had some banger dungeons too. Forest Temple is one of the can't talk. Forest Temple is one of the best in the entire series. Yeah, for every reaction and equal and opposite reaction, I agree with that. I thought the Forest Temple was great. I agree. Forest Temple was
Forest Temple is the best dungeon in that game.
Forest Temple was great. Forest Temple you could do
Yeah.
rooms out of order. Forest Temple was like a legitimate, and that was Enuma. He was the dungeon guy. He was the dungeon chief. So that's fair. That's a fair question or a fair statement. Because you can literally, you can do you can do rooms out of order in that. Um, that is a legitimate Zelda dungeon, and he did a good job with it. Did a really good job with it.
I love the lore behind the Forest Temple. If you actually like do a deep dive into the lore of the Forest Temple, there's a theory that it's the old Hyrule Castle, like it's the first Hyrule Castle. It's been overgrown and forgotten about.
Ooh,
Yeah, like
I
it's
can
really
see
cool.
that.
Like if you, yeah, like even if you like look around the design, like the interior of the dungeon, like you can see like kind of remnants of the past of like old Hyrule.
Well, I can see that now that they have their weird grand unified theory that has Skyward Sword, or that has Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in completely separate timelines, even though they're literally in the a direct sequel of one another. Like, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing with the timeline, and that's why I've always
I
said that. I've
the Zelda
always,
series would be better off without the timeline, personally.
yeah, my
Yeah,
whole thing. I've
it's
always,
like Mario, right? How could you make a timeline for a game like Mario? Because Mario is so every game is individual, right? That you would not be able to fit it into a timeline.
I mean, you could, but I mean, why bother? Like Mario, it's just
It's-
Mario's
it's-
adventures in the Mushroom World. That's all. It doesn't have to have a
Exactly.
linear
It's
timeline.
exactly the same for Zelda, right? Zelda
Yes,
is literally just it's Link's Adventures in Hyrule. That's literally what it is, and that's
exactly.
all you
And
need to
so,
know.
and one of my things is it's in the title, like Legend of Zelda. My interpretation until they fucked it up, and I still fuck them. It's my game. I paid the $60. It's my headcanon is that the Legend of Zelda, each game is its own individual reinterpretation of the same legendary story.
Absolutely, and that's the
That's
thing.
my
It's a
interpretation.
legend. Yeah, it's a legend. Legends get mismatched and
Uh huh.
reinterpreted. That's the point of a legend, right? It's a story that's been passed on over time, and it's probably not true anymore because it's been obscured so many times
Yes,
that
orally retold.
and that's kind of why it makes sense when it comes to like the Legend of Zelda games being so different from one another,
Hmm.
because it is like they're being told by different people.
Yes, and so you've always got a Link, you've always got a Ganon, you've always got a Zelda,
Yeah,
but all of the
yeah,
things that happen in between all that gets kind of mixed up. I love that.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
love the idea of something like
absolutely.
that.
But yeah, I mean, fans are crazy, right? So fans love their Zelda, and fans will believe anything Nintendo say. So, and that is true. Like Nintendo decide who and what Zelda is. So we have to
Well,
go with that.
I mean, I think I disagree with that. The reason for that is, are you familiar with the idea of death of the author?
Yeah, I mean,
So
you
basically,
you
when
decide.
you
I
release
suppose.
something to the
It's like,
wild, yeah, it's not yours anymore. It's all of ours.
yeah, that's the thing. Is that it's interpretation, isn't it? People how they see things, and
Yeah,
once you've read something or you've watched something or played something, you
yeah,
everyone has their own opinion and how they see it and how they if they've enjoyed it, if they haven't enjoyed it.
exactly.
And this
So
is the thing
on
that people
paper,
forget, isn't it?
yeah, on paper, they've
Exactly
got
right.
their stupid fucking timeline on paper, and I acknowledge that. And as a customer, I am free to ignore that. It
Yeah.
does not have to
And,
infect my enjoyment of the game at all. Only if you let it.
well, that's why people have invented the term headcanon, haven't they? That like
Yes,
headcanon is literally
exactly.
you know you decide your own canon,
Yeah, I
and I think
can't.
that's why Zelda's such an impossible series because like it's things that people have made up and that
Uh
other
huh.
people have made up, and you know when it comes to I think I had an argument actually, not an argument, but like a discussion with someone about um believe it or not, Groosh, Groosh from Skyward Sword. Someone tried to convince me that Groosh was the first Gerudo, and I was like, okay, that's a theory, that's a definite theory, but like it's not a it's not a confirmed theory by Nintendo, and also like it doesn't make sense if you actually
Also,
care about the lore.
yeah, wouldn't that technically be Akuma's brother, like Demise, like Discount Akuma? That would be the first
Well,
Gerudo, because
yeah. I mean, the Gerudo is supposed to be like it's the female, isn't it? It's the female race where
true,
one.
true. But I'm just saying that
Yeah.
since Ganon is a derivation of Discount Akuma, I'm thinking that Discount Akuma could technically be seen as the first Gerudo, but I think that sounds pretty fucking stupid too. Because again,
Mm,
Gerudo's an all-female race.
mm. Yeah, I mean the Gerudo are female, and obviously every like I think it's every 100 years there's one
One
male
male
Gerudo,
born,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah,
Yep,
and
it's
usually that one male is Ganondorf. Um, so like it's interesting because obviously it doesn't make sense because Groose isn't a female and one. I
I
mean he's
can't
not.
fucking
He's
see
to me
Groose
yeah.
without
I
seeing
don't know.
without hearing. I don't know if you guys have seen this in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. there was two characters called Bulk and Skull, and they had a theme. It was like a dun 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 dun
Oh yeah,
dun
yeah,
dun 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 dun.
yeah.
Every time I
It was an
see
idiot
fucking
bully, wasn't it?
Bruce, I can't help but hear that theme in my head. The fucking Bulk and Skull theme.
There's like idiot bullies, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing, right? Because yeah, I mean, Groot is kind of he's a comedic character, isn't he? As well, and you know, the Gerudo aren't a comedic race; they aren't considered to be a comedic race. I mean, Groot, if anything, is more closer to the Jaeger clan, like we said earlier, than
Right.
he is.
Right. So Rush Dog makes
It's
an excellent point. It's one I've made as well, and I could absolutely see an intelligent Nintendo doing this. So you put your new console out, and then Switch can be that dedicated handheld that buoys the Switch too if it gets off to a slow start. 100%. You just keep supporting the Switch One with content, just like the 3DS was, and also let the indie studios do their thing because we're still going to get all the best indie games on the Switch. There's still all kinds of third party ports that need to happen, like OG Dead Space, like GTA 5 potentially if Rockstar wants to get over the past. There's all kinds of shit that can be done on that system that would absolutely be cheap to do while the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever that system ends up being gets off to a start and gets its killer app. Yeah, 100%. What do you think of that, Sam?
yeah, yeah. I think that too. I think it would be a very clever move by Nintendo, actually, because
Hmm. Yeah,
you know,
make it the
I
second
think
pillar.
Nintendo at this point. Yeah, I mean, they at this point, I can see Nintendo fearing that they'll have another Wii U situation,
Sure. Now
and
the other thing they're doing is the theme parks and the movies. I think are also meant to help secure that future as well. But I
absolutely.
actually think
And this is the
Nintendo's in a
thing: is
very good position given the macroeconomic
Nintendo,
turmoil.
Nintendo are literally in their their prime at the moment. They are in the best financial position I think they've ever been in ever, and
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
purely because of Nintendo.
I
And like I said earlier, like I can't see personally myself. I don't think Nintendo will stop supporting the Switch
no,
purely
I
because the
think you're
Switch
going to be
is
correct on that. Yeah,
it's so popular, right? It's legit like the most popular console since the PlayStation 2.
it would be
And if
insanity to
Nintendo just
cold
suddenly
turkey the
stop,
Switch. Insanity.
yeah, they can't do that. They wouldn't do that. There's people who won't have Switch 2s for years to come. I'm not gonna.
Yes,
I Funny enough, right?
me
Funny
too.
enough, I'm not. I don't plan on buying the Switch 2 day one.
I don't either.
Because I just
I
know
do not either.
I don't need to. The Switch is too good. Like I've got so many games I've still not played on the Switch. I'm gonna play them. I
Hmm.
want to basically finish this Nintendo Switch. That's my take on it, and then I will move on to Switch 2. Because
Smart.
one, the first year of Switch 2 will be bad. Like it won't be great. There'll be
Yep.
a couple of games on the console which are playable, right? And then give it a couple of years, and then it'll eventually be a console worth getting. Like the first Switch was. Like the first Switch was basically the Breath of the Wild machine. That's basically what it was when it first came out, and Super Mario Odyssey as well. But it wasn't until like say probably like year 3 of Nintendo Switch that it was actually a console that it was like, yeah, okay, this is now probably the best console in this generation.
Yep.
And so yeah, this is it. Like I'm not desperate to get the Switch 2 straight away. I'm happy with my Switch OLED. So I'm going to continue playing on it for a bit. It's the perfect console for me right now as well because, like I say, I'm literally a dad now. I'm 10 months
Yes.
into my being a dad, and it's the perfect console for me to play. You know, when I'm just chilling out after my daughter's gone to bed, I can just play it quietly. You know, and if the Switch 2 is a home console and it's nothing like the Switch where it's not hybrid, you know, it probably won't even be called the Switch 2. It'll be completely something different, and I hope it is. I hope
Yes.
it's a new console with a new branding, new marketing, absolutely nothing related to Switch. I hope it's a completely new console. And
You know what? I've
yeah,
actually said, and I'm still not sold on the idea that it's going to be a Switch 2. I've said that too.
it,
I've also said that
I don't think it'll be.
it would be weird. It's very unusual for Nintendo. It's not that they haven't done it, but it's the
I've heard,
exceptions prove the rule.
I've
The
heard people say
rule
it's going to be called the Super Switch, and I definitely think it's
the
not going to be called
rule
that.
is for Nintendo to focus on a disruptive innovation. That's the rule.
Yeah, That is the thing.
Yeah.
Is Nintendo's whole thing is that they strive off gimmicks, right? They've literally that since the Nintendo 64, they have basically come up with a new invention, a new idea. Like the N64 made the analog stick popular. GameCube, it was like the little tiny discs, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, that didn't work out, but the little tiny discs was a new idea in the gaming market.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously the Nintendo Wii, which was motion controls, massive, massive invention that changed the face of gaming. Nintendo DS was a thing, dual screens. Obviously that hadn't been done since the Game and
Uh-huh.
Watch, but the Game and Watches were so like, they're uniform consoles, weren't they? And then obviously the Nintendo DS was a
Very, very
more
rudimentary.
accessible console.
Very rudimentary.
Yeah. Whereas the Nintendo DS was so like accessible and easy to pick up and play. And then obviously we then moved on to Wii U, but Wii U was kind of the less talking about that the better.
I feel like
and then
nobody is talking about the technical aspects of what a Super Switch would look like, right? So here's my problem with the Super Switch I still have. Doesn't mean that Nintendo hasn't solved it. Doesn't mean that there's not some kind of a breakthrough in the battery bottleneck that I haven't heard about. But a Switch 2, in order to do a Switch 2, and in other words, a sustaining innovation, in order to do the sustaining innovation and make a Switch 2, the games are going to have to look much better than the Switch. It's going to have to be a leap. Doesn't mean it has to be a super leap, but it has to be a leap. In order, well, hold on.
The best thing to do about Switch 2, the way to visualize it, in my opinion, would be to make it be like it's a Nintendo Switch with the best specs.
Yeah, but are the best specs going to convince people to upgrade when the best specs are
exactly right.
by
This is the
battery?
thing.
That's the problem.
Unless it's a brand new console
yeah.
that's not unless it's a brand new console that isn't backwards compatible.
Well,
there's no reason to buy.
Sam, what I'm trying to say here is, I feel like with what I know about where we're at with battery tech, you would need to be in a better position with battery technology than the human race is right now in order to power the graphics that you would need to have on a Switch 2 in order to make it the leap needed to convince people to jump on board. Even worse. In order to let's say you have that battery tech. Let's say you have that graphical fidelity needed. Your system's going to be more expensive to pay for all that, to pay for that new battery tech. I don't think the coming macroeconomic market and the economic headwinds and turmoil that we are currently experiencing and are going to be experiencing probably for years to come at this point. I don't necessarily know that a market can stomach a $500 to $600 US handheld. I don't think it can.
No.
I think that's a failed concept.
Not.
Now, none of that is to say that that's what's going to happen. I don't know that.
This is one of the things that Nintendo themselves, they, like you said earlier, they've branched out into other things like theme parks and movies. Nintendo know what they're doing. They are not a gaming company anymore. They are a media company, and they know that. Like they are literally making movies. They're making theme park rides. They are more than just consoles. And they are trying to be the next Sony. Basically,
they're moving upstream. Actually, more like Disney. I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're Disney. Actually, yeah, that's a good shout.
And the reason I say that is because they have a long-standing relationship with Disney historically. They were the first Japanese company that got the license to produce a Hanafuda cards with the Disney characters. I have one such deck. It's probably worth $5,000 or more. It's a crazy expensive thing. It's in part of my collection. I have the original Disney Hanafuda Nintendo produced cards. There's a long-standing relationship, and don't think that Nintendo hasn't studied the Walt Disney Corporation in terms of how they do things.
You should definitely show them off.
I'll have to post a picture of them. Yeah, I'll have to post a picture of them. Okay. But yeah, that's one of the artifacts I don't think I've shown off yet, actually.
I think a lot of Nintendo fans haven't actually ever seen like Hanafuda cards.
They'll get to see, and again, they'll get to see them in the Nintendo Museum. But yeah, I'll have to post a picture of mine in the Discord here later tonight. Because yeah, they're cool. They're really fucking cool. And it just goes to show you that long-standing relationship between Disney and Nintendo, it's always been there. The Yamauchi family has always had a connection with the Walt Disney Corporation in many ways, and that includes the way they do things. Keep in mind that Nintendo is very cheap.
Actually,
yeah, just like
you would imagine that, like, You'd imagine that Nintendo would have collaborated with Disney when it came to the movies, right?
They did. They did, but it's been a long, long time ago.
Well, no, I mean, like, because obviously the Mario Brothers movie was Illumination, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, well, yeah, and there's reasons for that. Again, Illumination, very, very cheap, where Disney no longer has that old ethos they used to have of cheap is better. Disney used to be a very
Disney,
cheap company. Yeah, they're not anymore.
although
Disney is a
saying
high
that
budget company now.
Disney did collaborate with Nintendo for Wreck-It Ralph, didn't they?
I
Was in that movie.
believe, yeah, I believe there was some collaboration, some approval of their characters there. Yeah. But in terms
Yeah,
of like a
yeah.
direct, yeah, why didn't Disney handle that? A lot of it has to do with Disney's production costs. Now, Disney has very high production costs,
Well,
whereas
it's the
Illumination
biggest movie studio in the world.
Illumination
So,
tends to be more economical in their production costs. That's a
yeah.
big part of that decision.
Although not to say though that the Illumination aren't expensive, because I mean Minions, is a massive franchise, right? They make
Well,
a lot of money.
they make a lot of money, but that's different. It's a difference to say they made a lot of money with what that movie costs. Compare the cost of like a Minions movie to the cost of a big budget Pixar movie or any of Disney's big Star Wars, Marvel, fucking monster movies, and it's night and day, man. Like it's the budgets on Disney
Even
movies and Disney productions are
cheap and cheerful,
crazy.
isn't it? That's what they call it.
Yeah,
Cheap and cheerful.
cheap and cheerful, exactly. So I think that's part of what's at play there. But yeah, there's certainly, and also keep in mind that there's been a lot of things hitting Disney in the market lately in terms of that. And I think that again, being an opportunistic corporation that views that game two competition we talked about, I think they smell a little blood in the water with some of these franchises being on the ropes, monster show cancellations, the uh, the the fact that Disney Plus is not really doing what they expected it to do. And I think
No,
Nintendo smells blood in the water, and I think they're starting to move in on that territory. I think there's
yeah,
some game
Nintendo
to it.
could be the next, isn't it? So, I mean, like we said, they probably are the Nintendo, like, or Disney of Japan, aren't they? The Disney's of the Eastern world. That's kind of
It's a
the way.
comparison that has been made for many decades, and not without reason. I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah, they are kind of. I imagine that Nintendo is somewhat as large as Disney in the eastern side of the world. So,
Nintendo is, I believe, and again, fact check me on this, but my understanding is Nintendo is one of the most lucrative companies in Japan.
oh,
It's one of
yeah,
the
yeah,
largest in Japan at this point. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. No, no.
Rush Dog says, I think it was Orbology who compared the Switch 2 announcement to waiting for Godot. The metaphor stuck with me. That's good. That's clever. That's very clever. And then sketchy rumors have always been part of the gaming discourse. It was even featured in magazines of yesteryear, and that could be the case. Maybe the reason why it's so much more fucking annoying now is because it's so much more in our face. Can't avoid it through social media. We're always plugged in, etc. There could be some of that going on, but all I can tell you is it didn't feel like it was this fucking annoying in the past. It just didn't feel that way. And I think a large part of that is a vast majority of gamers didn't have those magazines. That was something that the enthusiasts exclusively got. Where
Yeah,
now,
and this is the thing, is it's content as well on YouTube. Like when people talk about like Switch 2, like, everyone's doing it, and it gets tiresome, right? When everyone's
sure,
talking about the
and
same
again,
thing.
maybe that's the fact that you and I are in the space, and so we constantly are exposed to it. Again, I think Rush Dogs. I think there could be something to that for sure. Maybe it's always been there, and now it just seems to be really fucking annoying because we've jumped into the YouTube space, right? Like, could be. And then he says,
Well,
"Dude, do you think the Switch 2 reveal will happen in the 2024 calendar year?"
um, it depends, because define fiscal year, because like fiscal year is what they've said they'll announce it with,
Well,
right? So
he used calendar year, so I'm going to assume he means through December. Um, I'm going to go on record as saying I actually don't think so. Now I could be wrong on
well,
that. I don't have a source. I don't have
I
any
think
insiders anymore in Nintendo. I don't.
a lot of people are expecting it to be announced this month, aren't they? Because usually in September,
I think that's a big
like,
stretch. Yeah, I think people do think that,
yeah,
but they're going to be disappointed again. I feel like it's definitely not going to be
Usually in
this month.
September they have a big direct, don't they?
Like maybe they delay it to October, November if they're going to do that. But yeah, I actually don't think that. I don't even think we see that system until holiday 2025.
I'd find it hilarious. I would genuinely find it hilarious if Nintendo just suddenly said, "Yeah, we're not going to announce it. Actually, we've changed our minds."
Well, and again, the reason I put a holiday 2025 is that's getting pretty close. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's 8 years. I figure you're going to get 2 years of active support after that, which will put Switch support into 2027. And that is perfectly in line with what Nintendo has already locked themselves into. With saying they're going to have a 10-year support structure for the Switch. So,
well, that's it. I mean,
and again,
what year did
my
the
source
Switch
is
was?
my source is what they told the investors. Just like in
20,
Japan, there's a
2017,
fiduciary
isn't it?
responsibility. You can't lie to your investors. So it's going to be a decade of support, guys.
2017 was when the Switch was released, wasn't it?
2017. Yep.
Yeah.
So
what? That's 2027. So
2027 is 10 years of support.
yeah.
So typically, I would expect 2 years of support, at least 2 years after.
Oh, how many years was
announced.
between? How many years was between the PS3 and the PS4? Because that was quite a few years, wasn't it?
Yeah, the console generations are getting longer. They are getting longer and longer.
Well, games in general are getting longer to be developed. Like it's just games in general. Like it's the whole gaming industry is slower now because
Yes.
things take more time, right? With the
100%.
technology and that advancements we have, like things are more complicated to build.
No.
So
Rush Talk says everyone mark macroeconomic analysis on your zoo bingo cards. Yeah, we gotta get the zoo. You know what? We gotta get some zoo bingo cards done. Rush Dog, you'd be a good one. You or Brooke would be a good one to get some fun ones put together, and then we'll pass those out on the Discord. That way, people can do that because I bet you people get bingo more often than not. I bet you they
do. Put Switch 2 on there.
Oh, Switch 2. Yeah, it's a free space. To be fair, so is macroeconomics. There's a lot of free spaces you can use on a zoo bingo card. So M2 Shot Triggers has not done Batsugun yet. Oh, did I misspeak? Okay. Did you mean Battle Garega? That's the one. Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? I might have meant Batsugun. I might have just been wrong, Rush, but we'll give me the out. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Battle Garega, which is another fantastic shoot 'em up. And the fact that, but that's great that Batsugun hasn't been, and Batsugun got done by another team. We have Batsugun Tribute on Switch, don't we? So yeah, I was completely fucking wrong. Yeah, we had Batsugun because Batsugun's on the Switch physically. Yeah, Battle Garega is the one we fucking need. And yeah, like I don't know that they're gonna go backwards and port that over to Switch, but please, pretty please, and if not, yeah, PS4 might be the way to go on that. And then, yeah, there was absolutely a backlash to Wind Waker's graphics in 2002, 2003. Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I just don't see it, man. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I said, like, oh, that looks fine. And then I played the game. That's what happened to me.
I do remember my first reaction to that game, to be fair. And I remember my first reaction to seeing it was, this isn't Zelda, this is a kid's game. But
okay. See, it was there. For sure it was there.
yeah,
I just must have been an alien
I
because I hadn't seen Space World at that point too, by the way. Because again, I was kind of detached at that point from gaming in general, like
I hadn't seen Space World at that time either. I was too young, like I didn't really know what Space World.
What I mean is the people who saw Space World, it must have really been bad because they saw this
absolutely
amazing demo before the fact, and then wait a second, that's not Zelda. I can see.
So you have to remember as well though that like we had just gone through two of the greatest Zelda games ever made, like, and their stylistic choice was. I mean, they were semi-realistic looking games, I suppose. Like they weren't ultra hyper realistic, but they definitely had a realism to them over what Wind Waker has, right? So
right,
and Wind Waker was it was a massive change. Like it was a U-turn by Nintendo. They went like full full Saturday morning cartoon style, didn't they? So.
Yes, yeah, they definitely did. Yes. So yeah, I could see people being like, I can see it. I just wasn't one of those at the time. Now I'm not pretending to be like a sage and saying I thought that, oh, that's gonna hold up. I never thought that. I just looked at the graphics and said, yeah, it looks fine. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
Part of it is I
like I say
remember to
today,
Link to the Past. I remember to Link to the Past. And Link to the Past was kind of cutesy in its own way. That might have been
like I say,
too.
Wind Waker was and still is, in my opinion, today the nicest looking game ever made, and
Right.
that is purely because of its visual art style, and it is legit. Like, you know, it hasn't aged a day, that game. And how many years has it been out now? Like over 20.
Yeah, it's got to be
So
at least 20 years old. When did that come out? Like
yeah,
early
2003,
2000s.
I think it came out.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's been 20.
2003,
Yeah, 20 fucking years for that game. Holy shit. God, I feel old.
Yeah, time flies.
Rush Dog says Twilight Princess HD looks rough. It did shorten the intro. It did shorten the intro a little though. Oh my god, like only a little. Oh, keep cutting, guys. Keep cutting. Rush Dog says Wind Waker HD looks phenomenal and made a lot more quality of life improvements. Fast sailing, shorter Triforce hunt. Yeah, that's.
Oh gosh, yeah, the Triforce hunt
Yeah, it was
is
bad.
what a lot of people.
That was bad.
Yeah, a lot of people left the game at that point. I think I've known people that have played Wind Waker and they've never finished it because of the Triforce hunt.
Oh, that's like me not replaying Twilight Princess because of the intro quest, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the same thing. Like, yeah, I don't think I've ever replayed. To be fair, I don't think I've ever played Wind Waker again, and I think that was a big part of it. That was a big part of it, actually. So yeah, if it ever comes to the Switch, it might be worth a replay. So Rush Dog says, I think the majority of your guests are in the Kool-Aid Club. Yeah, probably. This is like you tune in to listen to a drunk zoo talk to guests. Like, yeah, that drunk zoo talks to sober guests would be the next. Yeah, for sure. Although I'm not,
just change
I'm not
change the
super
title of the
buzzed.
video.
Yeah, right now I'm fine. Although it is 5:00, so actually I can start doing the shots now if I wanted to. But
I mean, they say it's 5:00 somewhere in the world,
it's
right?
always 5. Hey, 5. Yeah, I can just say, hey, I'm gonna claim the UK time right now, and I'm gonna start drinking. I could have done that. That's
It's 11:30 here at
see,
night.
you're arming me. See, you're arming me now. You're arming me now. So be careful. On the subject of the Pillsbury site, nature has completely reclaimed Chernobyl. That's cool as fuck. Now, of course, probably a little bit of a scary thing to walk around there right now because all the radiation and shit. Although I assume a lot of that is gone away. I assume it's.
Hey, did you ever
safe?
watch the TV show? Did you ever watch the TV show Chernobyl?
I've not seen it, although it's on my list. Is it good?
Right, it's very good. It's a
Okay,
very
that's
good
HBO,
TV
right?
show. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
As long as you don't mind like bad British accents on what are supposed to be Polish people.
Oh no, I've played Xenoblade Chronicles. Like it's
legit, that is so true as well. Like I've been playing through Xenoblade Chronicles, and I mean I'm British myself, and I know. Yeah, I know bad accents, and there is nobody in the UK who speaks like that in Xenoblade.
It's right
Nobody.
Like, by the way, I have a clock. I have a clock, and it's got all 12 numbers. The clock has Rhine like posing instead of numbers, and so it's always Rhine time because it is always Rhine time. And if you know, you know.
What's the one he says when you beat enemies? He goes, "What a load of jokers!"
What a load of jokers! Like, it's like, oh my god, that is a terrible fucking British accent. I heard that come out of my fucking mouth. Ah.
Literally nobody in the UK sounds like that. And there's a lot of accents in the UK, right?
I'm really feeling it. I think that's shock. Like, oh god, now I want to play Xenoblade again.
Feel the power of the Monado.
Feel the power of the Monado. Oh god. Brooke is drinking Sprite. Sprite's always fun. That's always a good drink.
It's nice. It's a good drink.
Yeah.
Hey, you know
Pairs
the
with
drinks in
anything.
the UK. The drinks in the UK taste completely different. Did you know that?
You're talking about
Because
your soft drinks? Yeah, yeah. I was actually when I visited London, there was a lot. Yeah, very true. And also
yeah,
your fast food chains are very different as well.
yeah, it's because our country is you can blame a guy known as Jamie Oliver for this. Jamie Oliver is a chef.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Um,
Jamie Oliver's
who-
interesting. He's an interesting guy.
yeah, yeah, and he you can blame it for him because he basically managed to get a lot of food in this country banned.
Yeah, so
Like a lot of
that's why the burgers don't taste like shit at fast food joints anymore.
yeah, so a lot of ingredients in this country is banned because of him. So a lot of our food tastes different.
But
Um,
I'm here to tell you that's good because the poison's in the food,
yeah, it's
the
a
poison's in
good
the
thing because obviously it
air, the
means
poison's in the clothes. Like we are being slow poisoned, brother. Like 100%
yeah,
with
it's a good thing because it
in
means our food
America.
is healthy, but at the same time, like I want to enjoy my food.
So far be it for me to tell you that your food is good. You live there. But I don't think the food is as bad as what is spoken of in terms of that. Everybody talks about like, oh, British food is terrible. Like, I mean, it depends on where
I
you go,
mean,
I guess.
it's difficult to say because we don't really have like cuisine over here. We have our own like famous cuisine, but like we don't have like a cuisine that's desired. Do you know what I mean? Like
The
our most
continental
famous dish
breakfast is
is
the continental breakfast is British. Um,
yeah, our most famous dish is fish and chips.
Fish
So
and chips is fucking good. Uh,
yeah, but there's a difference. Like there's fish and chips, but then there's like British fish and chips, and British fish and
there
chips
is.
is like it's to die for. Like
I
it's
know.
legit. Like
I know it's good.
yeah, it's nice. Like I see people make fish and chips, and like when I look at it, I'm like, it's not fish and chips. That's just chips and fish. Whereas like fish and chips is like I don't know. There's just something about it. The way it's cooked, the how it's done. Go to a British chippy. If this is for anyone who ever comes, if you ever come to like the UK or England, Scotland, Wales, wherever,
Yeah.
you have to go to a chippy at least once because it's just the law. You will not be allowed to leave the country until you've eaten chippy.
Oh, well, yeah. I had fish and chips at Kennedy's. Is Kennedy's still there?
What do you mean, Kennedy? Is that a
The restaurant was called Kennedy's. Is what it was called.
Oh, is that
Um,
in London?
in London, yeah.
I'm not familiar. Sorry.
And it was, oh my god, oh man, so fucking good.
The best fish and chips you'll get as well is if you ever go to a seaside, like the seaside areas. Like
Okay,
that's it's the law. Like if you go to a seaside, you have to eat fish and chips.
beautiful. I will have to, yeah. Next time I'm in. See, last time I was in London, we were really rushed because we were doing. It was like it was we had an itinerary, right? Now, one of the itineraries, and I still get goosebumps to this day just talking about it, is we got to see the Tower of London. And
Oh yeah, it's
it's but
amazing.
instead of going in the normal entrance, we were on a tour that brought us in through the dock. We went in through the boat. And
Oh
that is
cool,
like, oh,
nice.
that's another level, dude, because that's the way that's how they brought the fucking prisoners in. And like
Yeah,
going
man, that's
in
cool.
from that entrance is we also got to see a theater in the round, got to see that, got to see a show in the round.
Oh yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was a cool trip, but I would have liked more time to just go do things and maybe get out of the city. But next time I'm
Yeah,
there, I'll have to plan a
this
trip
is
that kind
a.
of gets me into some of the other
I
parts of
think
the country.
there's a massive misconception as well about England because a lot of people assume England is basically London,
No, it's not true.
and
There's all kinds of
yeah, and like that is there's this kind of whole conception that if you live in England, you live in London,
no. The
and like I say, like,
The north of England is like another world.
yeah, it's there's two sides to the country. There's like there's the obviously the cityscapes and the
Hmm.
city areas, but then you have got like the rural areas as well. Like it's England is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and I'm not saying that because I live here. If you actually explore like London, if you actually explore the country, like where I come from, I come from an area known as the Midlands, and that is literally slap bang in the middle of England.
Yeah.
And like our whole area around me is just forests, hills, lakes. It's so nice. It's one of the most beautiful areas in the country. And a lot of people don't know this exists because they just assume that London is England.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you're traveling the world, one thing I will always tell people: couldn't on that trip, but if you can get out of the cities, get out of the major cities. Don't just go to Paris. Go to Marseille. Don't just go to London.
Yeah,
go explore other areas. Go explore. Actually, one of my other favorite cities actually was Liverpool, which is kind of a very interesting culture also.
Oh, Liverpool's great.
Very much, yeah, very much not like Swindon. Swindon area is very cool. There's places outside of the major cities that you can explore that are amazing. Like I've got a painting hanging up right now of Marseille, which is just it's a beautiful port. And again, everybody who goes to France are like, oh, I want to go to Paris. Not me. I read the Count of Monte Cristo. I want to see fucking Marseille, man. I want to see
man.
Rocky coastline.
Where did I go? Well, when I went to France, I went from France years ago when I was a kid. We didn't go to Paris. We went somewhere else. It might have been Lyon. It might have been Lyon we went to. I remember it was in that kind of a general area anyway, and it was beautiful. It was very nice. Like it's sunflower fields everywhere, and countryside. It was nice, really nice country.
Oh yeah, no,
not what you see in the movies.
No. Yeah, movies isn't that interesting. The movies never really tell the truth about a geographical area ever.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Then Rush Dog says animals can deal with a bit of radiation if there's no humans around. Yeah, radiation, we're down. We'll make it work. Those fucking stinky humans that fuck everything up. No, we're good. We're scarce. We're out of here. Yeah, no, that's fucking that. There's probably a lesson there somewhere. And let's see. Rush Dog says, "Nice, Brooke." And then Brooke says, "Playing Dreamlight Valley, very calming." Yeah, you were telling me about that. Heck yeah, playing. Monster says, "I'm jumping back in here to say that I'm proud of you, Sam, for joining the Xenoblade cult. Welcome to Peak, bro. Okay, got to run again." So he says, "Yeah, welcome to Peak Gaming."
Welcome to Peak. I actually picked up. I did pick up Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm still looking for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I'm planning to play the whole trilogy. So,
Rush Dog says, "Well said, RE Hidden Gem YouTubers. Do you guys have any recommendations?" Yeah, actually, they're not gaming related, but I'll give you two that I came up with, and I'll let Sam give you some. So, non-gaming related, it's not a hidden gem anymore, Rush Dog, but the Elephant Graveyard. Elephant Graveyard is it's a comedy channel. And basically what he does is he critiques stand-up comedy. And he's got some good stuff. He's got some stuff that is wild. The other one, and this is a channel to go to if you want to be scared, basically. It's like real world horror type stuff. And every time a new video posts, I'm scared to watch it because I'm going to learn something horrifying about the world around me. But it's a channel called Flesh Simulator.
that's a dark name for a channel.
Flesh Simulator, it's called. Again, Simulator. So with a reservation, I recommend Flesh Simulator. What do you got as far as YouTubers, hidden gems, gaming or otherwise?
Recommendations wise, there's a channel that I sometimes watch known as Some Kind of Gaming.
Okay.
They have a Nintendo channel. They are Australian. Well, it used to be a duo. He's recently gone on his own. But yeah, no, his channel's cool. Check his channel out, Some Kind of Gaming. I actually do think that I'm going to do what the monster did to me and recommend someone for you to be on this channel, on this video.
Okay.
So if you ever do a live stream with another YouTuber, Some Kind of Gaming is someone you should ask.
Some Kind of Gaming. Okay. Yep. I will give them a follow and I will reach out. If Twitter,
Yeah, check them
if
out.
Twitter,
They're quite good.
if Twitter, I might need some assistance, and here's why. Are you in communication with them at all?
Yeah, they follow me on.
Okay, gotcha. So since they
They follow
follow
me
you,
on.
I will try to reach out. Now, please note that because X/Twitter is fucking stupid now, a lot of times it will not let me send a message, and I'll get trapped in the hey, we don't think you're human. Can you prove you're human? And then I'll do it, and my message will be unsent. So I may need to utilize you to back channel this if I can't reach out directly. And it's not because I don't want to reach out directly. It's because Twitter is a fucking broken piece of shit now. So yeah. It works when it wants
but anyway, yeah, some kind of gaming. There's another channel known as Video Dojo, which are really cool. He's a he does like little hidden gem games, and yeah, he's cool. He does like he designs games as well, and he takes you through the process of him designing games, which is really, really interesting. I like his channel a lot. He's actually local to me as well. He lives near me.
Okay.
I know that. But yeah,
good question.
So that's with my opinion. So, do you ever need any videos?
No, that's a good question. But yeah, I will definitely be reaching out to him. Some kind of gaming, right?
Some kind of gaming. I think it's spelled SUM, not SOME.
Okay, some kind of gaming. Okay. And then Rush Talk says, "Glory to Master Koga." Glory to Master Koga. Rush Talk says Brazil was a unique market, very unique market. Yeah, Sega licensed their Tech Toy, a Brazilian company. I can't imagine Nintendo. Oh no, Nintendo would never make that fucking deal ever. They're too much. They're too worried about control over their licensing. They're both their games IPs and their technology. They're way too wrapped up in control over the tech and the software and the hardware. No way. Yeah, I could never see Nintendo making that deal. But I didn't know that. That's really interesting, Rush. So Tech Toy, I'm gonna go on a deep dive now. That's cool as fuck. Oh wow. So Cold Knights Gaming says that this is Hyrule Warriors. It has to be. It's over 1,000 hours of content.
So yeah, so he was right.
And yeah, Gerard from the Completionist had said that. Yep. Knack. Yep. And then Cold Knights knew it. Jay knew it immediately. It's Knack. So that was back at 4:59. He's like, it's Knack. 100% Knack. Yeah. We finally figured it out, Jay. Because sorry, I'm just now getting to this now because I'm fucking slow. Snail's pace of lingering in life sometimes. The best Zelda games don't have Zelda or Ganon. Looking at you, Majora's Mask and Link's Awakening.
Yeah, not wrong.
But I don't know that those are the best Zelda games. That's the thing. They're certainly the most.
I'm gonna butt in here. Butt in.
Go ahead.
So Majora's Mask is my favorite game of all time, and I can see why people dislike the game because obviously there is that time mechanic, and the game is solid. It's so difficult. But yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's my favorite game of all time. I just love that game so much. But
that moon is fucking terrifying.
I mean, part of the reason why I love it as well is because it's completely separate to all the Hyrule stuff.
It's so dark. It's so fucking dark and creative.
Yeah,
it takes you. Yeah,
it takes you away from the Ganon and Zelda trilogy. Like it takes you away from all that, and there is a completely brand new original story.
There is a whole lot to appreciate there. I've always said, I wish like Akana Valley. I think Akana Valley. I would love to see Akana Valley get its own fucking game, like an archaeology type game or something, where you're.
Mate, Akana Valley is like.
It's so big.
It's a horror game. It's a horror game in a children's game. I don't
adore
that music.
Akana Valley.
Yeah, the music box area, like where you go into that music box and the little girl's living inside it with her mummified dad. Like that is just terrifying stuff. Like it's
yes.
How is that not approved for a children's game?
They kind of slipped some of that into Ocarina too with the well trip. That fucking monster in the well.
Yeah,
whatever the fuck that thing is. Fuck that thing, man.
Straight out of Resident Evil.
Fuck that thing.
Yeah. and yeah, that's it. Like it's crazy, like how messed up those games actually are for children's games. So.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to appreciate with um
What-
or Link's Awakening. I appreciate less, but also admire it for being. So keep in mind, it was the Game Boy game at the time. It was the Game Boy iteration of Zelda, and in doing so, I really feel like it went out on its own and it did a lot of interesting new stuff. I'll never
the
forget
best
the
thing,
moment that I tried to steal from the shop and he fucking zapped me with lightning. He fucking zapped my ass. Like,
the best
good
thing
shit.
about Link's Awakening is its story. Yeah, the best thing about that game is its story. The story in Link's Awakening is one of
It's
the best
very
Zelda
cool. It's
stories.
very cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll give it that. But best games, I don't know.
I wouldn't say it's one of the best Zelda games,
In a world where
but
Zelda 2 exists in terms of pure gameplay mechanics and Breath of the Wild exists in terms of pure joy and exploration, that's hard to say.
yeah, I wouldn't say Link's Awakening is one of the best Zelda games, but I do think it creative wise, it's definitely up there as one of the most creative and original Zelda games.
I would love to do if I ever get to it, because again, I need to get to my Switch. I need to get my fucking Switch reviews going again. But I would love to get to a video where I kind of break down at least Majora's Mask, just the things I appreciate about it. Because there's a
Yeah,
lot there. There's a lot
Majora's
there.
Mask is
That
incredible.
fucking Great Bay Temple almost derailed that fucking Great Bay Temple.
It's a very
It's a water
divisive
temple. It's a
temple.
water temple on crack, is what it is, and it's awful.
Some people feel like it's worse than the Water Temple in Ocarina of Time as
Oh,
well.
I do. Yeah, that thing was inconceivable. When I was
Because it's so
little,
complex, like the whole
changing the
switching on and
water
off the
flow.
paths.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
Ooh. And again, then you would get to it, but now you're on the third fucking day and you don't have time. Oh, time to rewind all your fucking progress. Like, yep,
Yeah. Oh, that's the
that
worst.
temple.
Yeah,
That was the temple. See, that was the temple where the gameplay mechanics really started to butt heads with the fucking bad dungeon design in that particular fucking dungeon. Like
yeah. I
it
think
was a mess.
the second half of Majora's Mask is way more difficult than the first half.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's a game that definitely has a huge difficulty spike.
Which I'm good with, but yeah, just having to like, and it's the only time right there where the rewind time mechanic I hated. The rest I thought it was really cool
Mm.
for the rest of the game, but that trying to get through the Great Bay Temple in the time period, oh my god, man, oh my god,
Yeah, yeah.
just
I agree.
Rush Dog said, "Do you think Breath of the Wild Gerudo's reproduction were inspired by Mass Effect's Atari?" I'm guessing that's a sorry, not Atari. Um,
Mass Effect
Interesting.
Atari.
Breath of the Wild's Gerudo reproduction were inspired by Mass Effect's Asari. Maybe, yeah. That's a good. That is interesting. How they basically, yeah, because that was the game that added to the lore that Gerudo go out to find like mates and shit. Yeah, maybe.
Well, wasn't yeah, but the Gerudo were female before Mass Effect, though.
They were female before Mass Effect, but I think Rush Dog's referring to the fact that they go out and they like snatch boyfriends basically to like go and.
No, that was in law. That's been in law for a long time. Like
Oh,
that was
has it?
literally,
Okay,
I
well,
think,
it looks yeah. So it looks like
yeah, that
Zelda did it first, Rush.
yeah, Ocarina. They say yeah, that's actually from Ocarina of Time. There's dialogue in the game where you can find
Okay,
out the Gerudo.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think it's in the you know, in Ocarina of Time you can speak to the spiritual stones wearing the masks.
that's super cool.
And it
Yeah,
gives you like gives you lore. Yeah, yeah, it's in that. Yeah,
So
and also
Jay from Cold Knights
and also
Game.
Malin.
Oh,
Sorry,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go on.
So, no, sorry. Go ahead.
So you know Malin's dad as well, the girl
Uh-huh.
on the farm, on ranch. Her dad is like, I think he says that his the woman he likes is a Gerudo, and then Malin is like theorized to be half Gerudo
Oh, because of the
as
red
well.
hair.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. Okay. And then he was a dick and
Yeah,
sold his ranch to fucking Ganon.
yeah, definitely. Not the cleverest of decisions.
No. So Jay from Cold Night says that Discount Akuma cursed the world to relive the struggle. Zelda and Link would constantly be reincarnated. Commoners would dress their little boys in green elven garb in hopes that they would become the next hero. That's a cool little bit of lore. So that's Demise. When I say Discount Akuma, I should specify I'm talking about Demise. Like who looks kind of like literally looks like Akuma. But
Yeah, the whole premise of Legend of Zelda is based on the idea that Link, Demise, and Zelda are reincarnated every 100 years, right? That's
well, sort of, yeah. So my understanding is that Zelda and Link were reincarnations. And at least until the new game fucked that completely. That then it's the same Ganon because he has the Triforce of Power and he's just being sealed. And so Ganon's the same guy, like until Wind Waker when he's destroyed for good, at least in that timeline or whatever. But Link and Zelda are
yeah, yeah.
reincarnated over and over again. Yeah, so
I think
different
isn't
Links
it a
and
matter of
different Links and
that?
Zelda, same Ganon.
Yeah, isn't it a matter of though that like Ganon is reincarnated when he has to be reincarnated though? Like, say, for example, a Ganon doesn't die. Surely that Ganon continues until he dies, and then they're reincarnated.
Maybe because I
Yeah,
know Twilight Princess
yeah,
he dies for good, and I know he dies for good in Wind Waker storyline.
yeah. That's correct. Yeah,
So there's an end to that Ganon in both those, and then there's also the end to Ganon in A Link to the Past and the Failure timeline that I like so much. Or not? No, sorry,
mm.
not that. No, he was sealed, and it wasn't Link to the Past. It's Zelda 1. You kill that Ganon. That's Pig Ganon,
Mm.
and he dies in Zelda 1.
I like. I
So yeah,
almost
you're
like
right.
the idea
There is
that
a death in each timeline. There actually is a death in each timeline.
I like the idea that the failure timeline is kind of like this what if situation.
Yeah, I just see what he was doing when he stuck all the games he doesn't like and I love in one fucking timeline.
Yeah,
I see what he was doing there, but I do like the fact, but it's also good because like, hey, on one hand, yeah, he stuck them all there so he doesn't have to fucking deal with them anymore. On the other hand, all of the best games are in one timeline. Groovy. It's so it's kind of both. Skyward Sword omitted because that's the origin point. It's not good, but
cool. I'm gonna have to shoot off soon, mate. By the way.
oh yeah, we'll start to bulldoze through here then. So,
Yeah.
Cold Nights Gaming says many young boys were named Link. Pretty cleanly examples of timeline fractures, if you ask me. And then Rush Dog says, interesting take, Jay. Rush Dog says, Splatoon 4 will get me to buy a Switch too. 90s is in the house. What's
Oh
up,
god, yeah.
90s? What's going on, buddy?
I think Splatoon 4 is a definite. With
Total
like
definitely.
the
Still
popularity of
consoles.
Splatoon. Yeah.
Cold
Oh, by the
Night.
way, I have actually made a video. Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to say go watch my
100%.
videos?
Yeah, you can say whatever you fuck you want on this show.
So I've actually made a video. If you're interested, anyone watching this,
Yeah.
where I predict what games I feel will come to Switch 2.
That's your
And
newest one, isn't it?
Splatoon. No, well, it is. It's one of my newer ones.
Yeah. I
Splatoon
saw that
4
when
is
it's
on there, like on the list. Yeah, so definitely check it out.
check it out, guys. Yeah, because I watched that one. It is good. He does have Splatoon 4 amongst other games. So, yeah, definitely check that one out. Then Cold Night saying, sup, dude. 90 saying, just chilling. How's your weekend going? 90 saying, hey, 90s. 90 saying, sup to Rush. Cold Night saying, good. Grinding MLB the show and listening to these great fellas is a good afternoon. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. 90 says, for sure. I spent most of yesterday playing some Splatoon 3. Haven't gamed too much today. Nintendo can sell me on Switch 2 with a new 3D Donkey Kong. Yeah, it's time for a big DK game. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I want to see Donkey Kong do something. It's been too long.
Why have we not had a proper Donkey Kong game, proper
Because
3D Donkey
Nintendo
Kong?
hates us.
Like,
They need to
what was the
do
last one? Last one was 64, wasn't it?
right. Yeah, 64 is Donkey Kong 64. Yeah, in terms of that.
That's so long ago.
It was a long time ago for sure. Says nice 90s. Did you beat the Triumvirate in Splatoon 3? Batsugun on Switch was by City Connection. Yeah, they got a hit and miss. I hope that game ended up okay. 90s Handheld Gamer says, unfortunately, no. Every time I faced one, my team lost. Came close one time, though. Rush Dog says, same 90s. It gets overwhelming. And then 90 says, yeah, you need to really good squad to take down those 3, Rush. You also have to get lucky with weapon RNG, Rush Dog says. 90 says, yeah, that's another big factor. Sometimes we had pathetic weapons when facing them. And then, Zoo hasn't added me on Switch. Oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I will get you added, man. Shoot me once again. I know you've already done this, I'm sorry. Shoot me your Switch tag handle. I will get you added ASAP as soon as I get my Switch charge. 100%. Sorry, buddy. Bring back Turkey Twizzlers. Attack the Backlog says, welcome, Attack the Backlog. Welcome in, man. Rush Dog says, don't take it too personal. Zoo isn't online on Switch that often. We haven't played Splatoon together in months. Yeah, we got to do it again, guys, because I did have fun. It's just I'm busy, and I don't mean that's not an excuse, but we will get some Splatoon 3 in for sure, 100%. I'm partial to Bubble and Squeak. Rush Dog says. Thinking of all English people live in London is like thinking all Americans live in New York. Yeah, please don't. Please don't do that. Strasbourg is great in France too. I've not been to Strasbourg. Okay. And then so is 100%. I am somewhat related to Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth II by being a cousin somewhere in the family tree, Brooks says. That's nifty. That's fucking cool. So
big.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start calling Brooke Barnes the Duchess of the. Yeah, she's Duchess Brooke, the Duchess. Upper Nimbus says, "Sup, Sam and Zoo? What's going on, Upper Nimbus? Upper Nimbus in the house."
Nimbus.
Rush Dog says, "That's amazing, Brooke." Rush Dog says, "Hey, Nimbus. Hey, Rush. Majora's and Link's Awakening are both top 5 Zeldas for me. I can see the case for it for sure. There's a lot to appreciate.
Yeah, that's a fair shot.
When Nintendo lets go of Hyrule and Ganon/Zelda, they can make more interesting settings and stories. 100% agree. I would love to see a Breath of the Wild style Zelda without Ganon. In fact, we kind of got that. I like Calamity Ganon. I think Calamity Ganon is more interesting than Rehydrated Ganon, personally. But I would like to see a no Ganon Zelda. I think that would be really cool.
So what I liked about Calamity Ganon was a presence throughout the whole game.
Yes. Also, I love the idea that it's just there's nothing left of the old Ganon except the raw malice and hatred toward Hyrule.
Yeah, it's a monster, right?
It reiterates that we are so far down the fucking timeline that Ganon is just rage and malice now. That's a really cool. It really separates it from all those other games.
It's the same reason why. It's the same reason why School Kid was such a great villain, because School Kid is a presence throughout the whole of Majora's Mask.
Yes.
As in, he is always there. He is always watching.
Mm-hmm. And Skull Kid has
he's
some
there
complexity because he's being corrupted by the mask. It's really cool.
Yeah, really cool exactly. He's got an interesting character arc, and he's a great character in the sense that he's sympathetic, but also at the same time you kind of want to you hate him at the same time. It's interesting because he's like Calamity Ganon. You can see him from every angle of Terminator, whatever it's called, Terminator Mine or whatever. And it's interesting. I really like that kind of character, kind of villain. A villain has to have an influence throughout the whole game.
Yes, yeah, they should, and the villain should be the impetus by the character undergoes a journey.
And that's why Ganondorf didn't work so well in Twilight Princess, because he is literally tacked on at the end of the game.
I wanted Zant. That's another thing that upset me about Twilight Princess. They set up Zant to be this badass fucking villain, and then it's Ganon again, and Zant's just a fucking clown that acts like a fucking spurg, like just freaking out. Like it's like, man,
yeah,
like it just ruined it. It ruined it. Like, man, Zant was so cool.
Zant is badass. He's a badass villain.
Yes, he was. He was till he took his mask off and went.
Yeah. Although that boss fight is cool.
It's a cool boss fight. It's just he acts like a fucking freak in that fight.
Yeah.
So Rush Dog says Akana Valley lives rent free in my head. Me too, man. I love Akana Valley so much. I love the Garo there. Yes.
Icona Valley is the best part of Majora's
Akana
Mask.
Valley,
It's the
so
best. Yeah.
good.
It's the best part of the game.
Upper Nimbus says 90s Zelda was peak. I can drink to that. 90s says I know Rush. I'm just trolling him a bit and trying to guilt trip him into hopping on. I will definitely hop on for sure. I do need to get some. I need to get better at the game because I really like Splatoon 3 actually. Upper Nimbus in the house, and then Upper Nimbus says, "Hey Paul, Rush Dog says Great Bay Temple was rough, but how cool was Stone Tower Temple? 100%.
Oh,
The
Stone
best
Tower
content.
Temple.
Yeah,
Stone Tower Temple is my favorite dungeon in any Zelda game.
it's so good. Yeah, it's so fucking.
My
good.
mind. I was like probably 8 years old when Majora's Mask came out, and I played for it for the first time. And I just remember my mind being blown when the whole temple gets flipped upside down.
Yes. Yeah, I want to go play Majora's Mask again now.
When they flipped it down and that scene where you see like the camera turn upside down, that to me was just like no game had ever done that before, and it was just crazy, so cool.
Let's see. Chilling 90 says trying to feel good enough to make it back to work tomorrow. Been in bed a lot today. Oh man, there's nothing worse than having your weekend being taken up by illness. I'm sorry, Paul. Hope you get feeling better.
Soon, dude.
Yeah, get well soon for sure. Rush Dog said both the Sauri and Geretto made outside their species, but always give birth to one of their own. Yeah, that's really cool. And then Rush Dog says didn't know that about Geretto and Ocarina of Time. I didn't either, but yeah, it's probably I trust him on that. Because again, like I didn't talk to everybody, so it's very easy to miss stuff in Zelda. There are a lot of NPCs, so
yeah, especially when I think it's hidden behind one of the secret stones anyway. The sacred.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Upper Nimbus
So it's not
says,
the most noticeable.
"Hope you feel better soon." 90s, Paul, 90s handheld says, "Thanks, Upper." Chill Collects is in the house. Yo, what's up, fellas? What's going on, Chill? Hope you had a good weekend, man.
Hey.
Upper Nimbus says, "Hey, Chill. What's up, Upper Nimbus? Just chilling at the end of this awesome stream. Thank you, Nimbus. I appreciate that." And Chill says, "Nice." But all right, we did it. We got through the super chat. So last things I like to do, I like to see if there's any questions you want to ask me. And then I have one last question for you at the end of everything. So
okay, cool. What was your favorite game? You said you had a favorite game. So
favorite game of all time is probably the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
That's it. Yeah,
it's a game that's just stuck with me. I can't shake it. Never will be able to shake it. And it's not helping the fact that the fan community is still building onto that game, and they're because we got that one province, the island of Vardenfell, so we got one district of Morrowind, the country, using the lore. Tamriel Rebuilt team is painstakingly over the past 20 plus years is slowly but surely adding the entire mainland onto the game, along with quests and factions and everything. And it is up to the standards, if not above the standards that Bethesda had back in like 2005.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
so what was your
good.
opinion on?
It's so good. Even Todd Howard says it surpasses their original work. It's so good at exactly.
What's your opinion? What's your opinion on Oblivion?
I liked Oblivion when it first came out, but Oblivion very quickly because of the fact that they always level up. I thought it was stupid bandits wandering around in Daedric gear. I like the story. I like the world. I like the Radiant AI had problems. It ultimately just wasn't for me, and I ended up going back to Morrowind, even though I do recognize that there's really good stuff in
it. I am, believe it or not, I've never gotten past the first area in Oblivion.
I can't fault you on that. It's a rough game.
You know the cave that you go through.
Yeah, the cave, the dungeon.
With Patrick's to it. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing with combat. I actually like Morrowind's dice roll combat better than that action shit that is in Skyrim or Oblivion. I like it better.
Yeah, I am playing through Oblivion. That small segment in the game, like the first hour of the game, made me never want to play the game again.
I can dig it, man. It's not good. That's not. By the way, please know if you ever start Marwin, that is not at all how Marwin starts or is. Marwin literally drops you off on a boat dock and says, "There you go, go at it, do whatever you want."
That's why Skyrim's so effective, is because Skyrim has that like whole sequence with the dragon, right?
Yeah.
And you're about to be executed or something like that.
Yeah, Marwin doesn't even do that. Marwin's like, "Hey, you're a prisoner. We've dropped you off. Here's some documents. Go see the spy master because you're going to work for him because we freed you. You're going to work off your prison sentence.
That's also why Breath of the Wild works so well, because Breath of the Wild is literally that.
Now you can choose to not go see. You can choose to not go see Caius Cosades. You can choose to not go see him, and after a while, they'll send fucking bounty hunters after your ass. But it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. All righty. Well, yeah. I know it's getting late on your end of the pond, so yeah, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you one last question here, and it's a very easy one.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep. So Sam, did you have fun?
Yep. I mean, what do I say to that? Because I can't say no.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can say
no. Well, yeah, of course I did. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it. So, Sam, thanks for coming on. If you want to stay for a brief moment in the denouement, we're going to go ahead and just end the stream and kick the chat out of here. We'll talk for maybe a couple more minutes, and then I will let you go. Thank you again. Anybody who needs to find the channel, his Twitter and his YouTube channel are linked in the actual video description. Go give him a sub. I love you all. Hope you have a great what's left of your weekend. And love y'all. Drink to that and get the fuck out of here. I'll see you soon, guys.
Thanks for watching. Thank you for having me as well.